Chapter 1601 The Endless Eternal Body in the later stage of getting started. After Yi Tian rushed out of the encirclement, he did not stop there, but continued to look for the Eternal Tribulation clan. Once he was surrounded, he immediately rushed out of the encirclement, absolutely not reluctant to fight. At this moment, he has roughly figured out the strength of this Eternal Tribulation domain, which is not very powerful. Moreover, this Eternal Tribulation domain has been discovered, and if the entrance is stable, the next batch of Supreme Beings will enter here. Even if the entrance disappears, those powerful 8th 9th level Supreme Beings can completely tear out an entrance and let the 3rd level Supreme Beings enter here. At that time, the Eternal Tribulation clan of this Eternal Tribulation domain will not be able to stop it, and this Eternal Tribulation domain will definitely be destroyed. Therefore, he wants to take advantage of this opportunity to get more benefits. As time passed, more and more Supreme people poured into this place, and the Eternal Tribulation clan was completely at a disadvantage. This day, a large group of Eternal Tribulation clan arranged a large formation to tear open an exit again and left from this Eternal Tribulation domain. They knew very well that if they didn't leave, they would be wiped out by the powerhouses in the outside world. After all, the Eternal Tribulation clan is the mortal enemy with those creatures that grow in the foreign world and the eternal world. So some special beings in the Source Sea will not deliberately target them, but some special beings in the Source Sea also want the eternal robbing spar on them. It has to be said that the Eternal Tribulation clan is simply a moving treasure house, and everyone wants to take a bite. Boom! The Eternal Tribulation clan successfully tore a hole, and a large number of Eternal Tribulation clan rushed out. The number of Eternal Tribulation clan here is tens of thousands, and it is also all the Eternal Tribulation clan left in this Eternal Tribulation domain. Source C. The Eternal Tribulation clan rushed out and was soon discovered. A large number of Supreme Beings launched a hunt for the Eternal Tribulation clan, and Yi Tian also came out of the Eternal Tribulation domain at this time. Just when he was about to follow the other Supreme Beings to pursue this group of eternal robbers, the mutation came. You dare to attack my clan, courting death. A giant black hand covering a large area of Origin Sea tore apart the Origin Sea void and grabbed it. The Source Sea is extremely stable and can tear the void of the Source Sea, showing how terrifying the opponent's strength is. When those 3 or 4 level Supreme Beings collided with this black giant claw, the eternal robbery body couldn't bear it, and they shattered, turning into corpses one by one. Then, countless black lights pierced through the void and slammed into a person of the highest name. Many Supreme Beings could not resist these black lights at all, and they were shot to death one by one. And Yi Tian, although the distance is relatively far, but for those powerhouses, this distance is nothing at all, so there is also a black light that locks him and hits him. Yi Tian tried his best to use all his defense-type supreme skills, turning them into layers of masks. The black light hole penetrated layers of masks, and was finally resisted by Yi Tian's endless eternal body, but he was still injured. The power of this blow is enough to kill the 5th level supreme person. If his endless eternal body is fused with the ancient star eternal body, the life-saving ability is too strong, otherwise it will not be able to withstand the attack of the black light. This mysterious powerhouse should also be the eternal robbery family, and its strength is definitely above the 8th level supreme, and it may even be the 9th level supreme. Yi Tian guessed. Boom! A powerful supreme appeared and instantly stopped the Eternal Tribulation clan powerhouse, and the two sides fought. But after only fighting a few moves, the Eternal Tribulation clan strongman wrapped the remaining Eternal Tribulation clan and disappeared. Obviously, he did not dare to delay time, otherwise he would not be able to escape if he was surrounded by multiple powerhouses. The Supreme Beings who survived are very fortunate one by one, but this time the Supreme Beings who have fallen are indeed a lot more. The unorganized invasion of the Eternal Tribulation domain is still too dangerous. Yi Tian thought to himself. The Eternal Tribulation clan in this Eternal Tribulation domain is indeed not strong, but the Eternal Tribulation clan has strong people. Once a strong person is contacted to help, the 3rd level Supreme and even the 4th and 5th level Supreme are all ants. If it is the Supreme Being of the 9 levels, he can easily win a low-level Eternal Tribulation domain. It's time to leave. Yi Tian left immediately, away from this area, and then returned to the Void Origin Hall. After returning, Yi Tian took out the Eternal Robbery Spar. 182 Eternal Robbery Spar, the harvest is not bad. Yi Tian said with a smile. Even an Eternal Robbery Spar is of high value, not to mention so many Eternal Robbery Spar, but most of these Eternal Robbery Spar come from the Eternal Robbery clan with the strength of the 1st level Supreme, so the grade is not high. Too high, the value is not as high as the Eternal Robbery Spar of the strong Eternal Robbery clan. But for Yi Tian, so many eternal robbery stones are enough to make his endless eternal body improve a bit. Subsequently, Yi Tian began to retreat to absorb and refine the eternal robbery spar. The energy contained in the eternal robbery spar is huge, so it takes a long time to completely absorb and refine the eternal robbery spar, but Yi Tian's eternal ancestors can play a role, making his absorption and refining speed more than tens of thousands of times. Therefore, in just 10,000 years, Yi Tian can completely refine an eternal robbery spar. As the energy of the eternal robbery stone pours into the body, the endless eternal body seems to be a seed that has absorbed nutrients and is thriving, which has never happened in the past. The endless eternal body is improving, and Yi Tian's strength is also improving. However, the improvement brought by an eternal robbery spar is not obvious. So, Yi Tian continued refining the eternal robbery spar. Gradually, the eternal robbery spar was absorbed and refined by Yi Tian, and Yi Tian's endless eternal body was also growing rapidly. After more than 10 million years, Yi Tian has completely refined all the eternal robbery spar, and his strength is much stronger than in the past. Unfortunately, I still haven't stepped into the level of Shaocheng eternal body. Yi Tian exclaimed. Zhao Nuzhao, maybe if it was someone else, the eternal body would have already become a small one. If it were an ordinary eternal tribulation body, it might have been directly completed and even completed. But his endless eternal body is too powerful, so he has only been promoted to the late entry stage, and he has not even reached the entry peak. However, just raising it to this level, it is also easy to slap other people's mid-level eternal physique. Ancient Star Region. Xingzu is now 100% sure that Shu Chen has betrayed himself and the Ancient Star Clan, and at the same time he is preparing for a showdown. Shu Chen, Star Ancestor growled. Wow. Yi Tian appeared and came to the Ancient Star Pagoda. Ancestor, what's the matter? Yi Tian pretended not to know anything and asked. Xingzu was very angry, resisted the anger in his heart, and asked, Shu Chen, don't you want to release me? Chapter 1602 Lingyuan Contract Stone. Old Ancestor, why did you say this? Yi Tian pretended to be confused and asked back. Xingzu said coldly. Shu Chen, Dong He, Ji Yu Chen, they either perished, or they were imprisoned by you, what do you want to do? When Xingzu said so, it was like tearing his face. Yi Tian couldn't keep pretending to be confused, so he said, Xingzu, since you know it, then I can't hide it. Yes, Dong, the Supreme Ones, have already been killed by me. 1. Why? Xingzu did not have any sadness, only anger. I want to completely control the Ancient Star Clan, they will hinder me. Yi Tian said. Ridiculous. Xingzu sneered. Is your vision so short-sighted? If you stay in the Ancient Stars and don't have my guidance, you can't become a top powerhouse, and you can't even get out of the Ancient Stars. Could it be that you want to stay in the Ancient Star region all your life? The Ancient Star region is very good, it's not as dangerous as the outside world, so why not stay here? Yi Tian asked back. Xingzu was in a hurry. He had never seen a supreme person who was so content with the status quo and not self-motivated, and Shu Chen's talent was so good. Even if 797 took the original source liquid, the future potential was still great. As everyone knows, Yi Tian is fooling him. If it wasn't to squeeze the last benefit, he was afraid that this part of Star Ancestor's consciousness would be annihilated directly. Unexpected, Xingzu said. Shu Chen, do you think you have been living in the ancient realm of stars, eternal and immortal? Yi Tian heard the sarcasm in Xingzu's words and couldn't help but ask. Why not? Our lifespan is infinite, and the ancient star realm also exists forever, and the supreme outsiders can't enter the ancient star realm. Who is my opponent? Ha ha ha. Xingzu laughed wildly. You are too naive. You do live forever, but it doesn't mean that no one can enter the ancient star domain. The ancient star domain is the prison that imprisoned me. The half-step eternal realm has not fallen. If he comes back, he will never mind erasing you when he sees you. Long years have passed, and that person may have already set foot in the eternal realm. You think you can compete with an eternal realm? What's the situation? Who is the half-step eternal realm who imprisoned you? Yi Tian was a little curious. Star Ancestor recalled that CJFI eternal realm. His face was a little ugly, and he did not reveal the identity of the other party. Xingzu just reminded. Shu Chen, if you help me break the seal, the restriction of the ancient star region will disappear, and then you can leave the ancient star region, and then you can enter a remote territory at will, isn't it? Be at ease, and will not be erased by the half-step eternal realm in the future. Yi Tian pretended to be contemplative, but he didn't panic at all. This is just a clone, and he is not afraid of falling. What's the benefit of me helping you? Although you gave me a lot of good things before, you also cheated me. The original source liquid will consume the potential. You think I don't know? Yi Tian revealed directly. You actually know the flaws of the original source fluid. Xingzu was a little surprised. The ancient star region has nothing to do with the outside world, and the original source fluid is very rare, so the supreme beings in the ancient star region should not know about it. However, he didn't think too much. Now that Yi Tian has discovered the defect of the original source liquid, he has not concealed it. Shu Chen, the original source liquid is indeed a bit regrettable, but it is still a treasure that countless supreme people dream of, and that flaw is not worth mentioning in terms of its own value. Xingzu said. Without other great benefits, I won't help you out. Yi Tian said. If I gave you great benefits, what will you do if you don't help me? Star Ancestor said. Believe it or not, Yi Tian said indifferently. Xingzu's face changed many times, and finally said, I want to sign a contract with you, and I will send a special contract stone later. If you violate the contract with me, you will suffer unimaginable consequences. What contract stone? Yi Tian was surprised. What other contract could bind the Supreme Being? Lingyuan contract stone, Star Ancestor said. Void Origin Hall. Yi Tian asked Qi Ling about the Spirit Source contract stone. Artifact Spirit, do you know the Spirit Origin contract stone? Yi Tian asked. I know, Qi Ling said. Strictly speaking, the Lingyuan contract stone is an eternal source, but at the beginning of the source sea, this eternal source was shattered and turned into pieces. Each piece fragments are also equivalent to spiritual source contract stones. This contract stone can restrain the Supreme, but it is invalid for half-step eternal realm. If my clone signs a contract with the spiritual source contract stone, can the contract affect my main body? Yi Tian wanted to know this, so he asked. It can't be affected, Star Ancestor replied. For supreme beings who have special clones, the Lingyuan contract stone cannot be effective, which is also one of its shortcomings. The reason why the spirit source contract stone can affect the supreme being, it will release a special energy into the body of the supreme being, and it will be completely integrated with the supreme being, regardless of each other. Once violated, the supreme being will suffer the consequences of the oath. It's not the same body, so naturally it won't be affected. So it is. Yi Tian understands and doesn't worry about the so-called Lingyuan contract stone. Ancient Star Region. Okay, I agree, Yi Tian said. Okay, I'll send the Lingyuan contract stone here. Boom, the ancient realm of stars began to vibrate. This is because the Star Ancestor spent his strength to send the spiritual source contract stone from the sealed land. Shout out, the void split open, and as soon as it came out, it was the Lingyuan spoon stone. Shu Chen, let's sign a contract. Xingzu asked. No problem, Yi Tian nodded. Then, the two signed a contract. This contract was made by Star Ancestor. It is very strict. Yi Tian must be invited to rescue Star Ancestor. If he does not save Star Ancestor when he has the strength, then Yi Tian will not only be unable to advance in strength, but will even suffer the pain of backlash. Until one day the body collapsed and died. It has to be said that such an oath is very cruel, but Yi Tian signed it. After the signing, Xingzu breathed a sigh of relief and laughed. Obviously, he thought that he must be able to break through the seal. Should you do me a favor? I have already signed a contract, it is impossible to violate the contract, you must really cultivate me. Yi Tian demanded. Okay, I'll give you a big chance now. Star Ancestor assured. Chapter 1603 A Mighty Finger of the Eternal Realm. Really big chance. Yi Tian was suddenly looking forward to it. After all, Star Ancestor gave a lot of good things before, such as the original source liquid and other treasures, but now saying the word, big chance, is more precious than the original source liquid, even more precious. It is also more precious than the ancient star stone, an eternal source. Soon, Star Ancestor's body sent something from the sealed place. Yi Tian looked around and found that it was a finger. This finger is sealed in layers, and it looks simple and ordinary, but it can make Xingzu call it a big chance, which means that this finger is not simple. This finger is about 3 meters long, which means that the size of the life is not small. The finger is purple, and there are countless lines on it, and it is not the finger of any kind of creature that Yi Tian knows. Therefore, Yi Tian watched for a while, but did not recognize it. Xingzu, what is this finger? Yi Tian couldn't help but ask. Xingzu's consciousness touched this finger, a little reluctant, but he still handed it to Yi Tian. Shu Chen, this finger is my most important opportunity, even if I can create an ancient star, it has its credit. It is a finger of the eternal life, containing a trace of the eternal power. If it wasn't sealed, the breath of power alone would be enough to shatter the entire ancient star region. Star Clan said. Then why don't you use this finger to break open the ancient world of stars? Yi Tian asked curiously. Xingzu said with a gloomy face, if I can do it, do I still need to train you? This finger was sealed by another Eternal Realm Great Master, so there is no way to open the seal. Even if the seal is really opened, it will be used to the power of the Eternal Realm may be able to attack indiscriminately and annihilate my body. At that time, if I fail to save myself, I will commit suicide. What use is it for me? Yi Tian asked. Ignorance, Xingzu said with contempt. Although a finger of the Eternal Realm is sealed, you can comprehend the fingers of the Eternal Realm, and gain a little insight, which is a great opportunity. You want to there is no Eternal Realm at all in the Source Sea. If you let other Supreme Beings know that you have a finger of Eternal Realm on your hand, I am afraid that even half a step of Eternal Realm will come to you for trouble. You and I can't find an Eternal Realm Great Master, what does this mean? Yi Tian was very curious. I don't know either. Xingzu didn't seem to want to say more, so he changed the subject and said, maybe when you have the opportunity to ascend to the half-step Eternal Realm, maybe you will know. It is useless for you to ask me now. Yi Tian didn't know whether Xingzu didn't want to say it, or if he really didn't know. But no matter what, this finger of the Eternal Realm is indeed a big chance. Subsequently, Yi Tian left with this cut of fingers. After Yi Tian left, Xingzu secretly said, Shu Chen, signed a contract, you can't violate it. When you rescue me, I will give you death at that time. This piece of Eternal Realm finger is true, and it is also for you. Comprehending the rules of the Eternal Realm is helpful, it can even give you a lot of insights and improve your realm faster, but the faster your realm improves, the faster you must rescue me. If he hadn't signed a contract, he couldn't have given Yi Tian this immeasurable piece of Eternal Realm finger. In fact, he is also very convening. His great enemy may come at any time, so he does not want to continue delaying time, and getting out of trouble as soon as possible is the most urgent thing. After obtaining a finger from the Eternal Realm, Yi Tian immediately decided to take this finger out of the ancient star region. He copied himself when he was in the realm of the first-class Supreme, and this copied body entered the ancient realm of stars, and obtained the fingers of the Eternal Realm from the clone's hand, and then left the ancient realm of stars, silently taking this treasures taken away. It can be said that Xingzu's plan was completely defeated. If he knew about it, he was afraid that he had already thought of suicide. As soon as he entered the Void Origin Hall, Yi Tian immediately took the finger of the Eternal Realm to the Tool Spirit. After all, the Void Origin Hall Artifact Spirit is the artifact spirit of the Void Origin Ancestor, a half-step Eternal Realm powerhouse. He has a lot of knowledge, maybe even more than the Star Ancestor in some aspects, so perhaps the artifact spirit knows more about the Eternal Realm's secrets. Pungent. Qi Ling, what do you think this is? Yi Tian took out this finger. The Tool Spirit stared at the finger carefully and exclaimed, Master, this is the finger of the Eternal Realm, where did you get it? Ask for flowers. Yi Tian said something about Xingzu. After listening to it, Qi Ling couldn't help but smile and said, Master, if this Star Ancestor knows that his finger of the Eternal Realm has been completely lost, he will be distressed to death. Artifact Spirit, the Eternal Realm finger that Star Ancestor said is of high value, is there any other use? Yi Tian asked. There is another very important use. Qi Ling said. The Eternal Realm is an extremely terrifying existence, even my previous master, the Void Origin Ancestor, has never seen an Eternal Realm power, they are too mysterious. I don't even know there are a few Eternal Realm Great Experts, but they definitely exist, because there are relics left by Eternal Realm Great Experts in the Source Sea. This Eternal Realm finger can be integrated into the finger, and others dare not. Because once the fusion fails, he will surely die, but the master can use the cloned body to fuse the fingers of the Eternal Realm. If you try countless times, there will always be a day of success. Once successful, the master has mastered a trump card. For example, using this finger of the Eternal Realm to perform a fingering-like supreme skill is enough to leapfrog the top and kill the top supreme. Moreover, once the master integrates this finger, it will be easier to comprehend more mysterious and benefit. Yes, this method is indeed suitable for me. Yi Tian nodded. I have to say, the spirit is really smart, he didn't think of this method. Afterwards, Yi Tian found a secret technique for fusing foreign objects from the inheritance of the Void Origin Ancestor, which can be used to try to fuse the fingers of this Eternal Realm power. In the days that followed, Yi Tian let the cloned body fuse with the fingers of this Eternal Realm Almighty. The first fusion. Boom. The cloned body shattered directly, and the fusion failed. Then, Yi Tian copied a body again and started the second fusion. Obviously, the second fusion still failed. Fusion again and failure again and again. For Yi Tian, this time and again failure is nothing, he just lost a little resource. Unconsciously, Yi Tian tried several times, and the outside world spent one of the 10 great tribulations. Chapter 1604 Half-Step Eternal Skill. This day, Yi Tian continued to fuse the cloned body with the Eternal Realm Almighty Finger. After such a long time of fusion, he gradually became more and more aware of the Eternal Realm Almighty Finger. The eternal rule contained in this piece of Eternal Realm's powerful finger is destruction. What he comprehends is the endless eternal rule, which contains various eternal rules, so the destruction rule is also of great use to him. Moreover, the rules interact with each other, and the rules of destruction will also be derived into the rules of life. The rules of life breed all things, and can give birth to other rules. Therefore, even just comprehending the eternal rules can greatly improve Yi Tian's endless eternal rules. What's more, this is a finger from the eternal realm, which allows him to better understand the life structure of the eternal realm and is of great help for him to cultivate the eternal body. In fact, the 797 eternal body is a body that has been improved step by step to the eternal realm. If the eternal body is perfect, you can have an eternal realm body. Although it does not exert much power, its strength is far beyond the same level of the supreme. The fusion this time was relatively smooth, because he had already mastered the art of fusion, and he had a deep understanding of the rules of eternal destruction, so there was no rejection problem at the beginning. I saw that Yi Tian's power seemed to be transformed into hundreds of millions of threads, integrated into this finger, and slowly assimilated this finger. I don't know how long it took, and finally the fusion was successful. This is also Yi Tian's first successful fusion. It's done, then you just need to try a lot to ensure 100% successful fusion. Yi Tian thought to himself. But before the next fusion, Yi Tian is going to test what kind of attack he can use with this Eternal Realm finger. So, Yi Tian came to the source sea. His eyes pointed to the distant area, urging his right finger, and displaying an unparalleled ancestral skill. Break! A terrifying force erupted, and the source sea area shattered like a mirror. After performing this blow, Yi Tian felt as if his body was about to split open. Even with the level of recovery and life-saving of his endless eternal body, he was almost completely annihilated. But in the end, Yi Tian still survived, but was seriously injured. The price is too high. If other 2-level Supremes or even 3rd-level Supremes and 4th-level Supremes are lucky enough to integrate this Eternal Realm finger, if they dare to use this Eternal Realm finger to launch an attack, they will surely die. Yi Tian muttered. He estimated the power of this attack, and it is very likely that it has reached the level of the normal 8th-level Supreme, second only to the 9th-level Supreme. This is also because his own strength is weak, and there is no way to exert too strong formidable power. If he is promoted to the realm of the 3rd-level Supreme, with the power of this blow, I am afraid that it is enough to exert a combat power comparable to the realm of the 9th-level Supreme. Of course, this move can only be used as a whole card. Moreover, Yi Tian decided not to let the main body fuse this finger, even if the body is copied and fused. Otherwise, if the main body is severely damaged, it will affect the attack, and if the clone is not worried. In the following days, Yi Tian disintegrated the duplicated body, reassembled the duplicated body, and started to fuse again. In this way, the success rate of fusion is getting higher and higher. Under the research of a great robbery period, Yi Tian has guaranteed a 100% success rate, and only then stopped the fusion experiment. Later, he began to use this finger to comprehend the eternal rules, comprehend the life structure of the eternal realm, and even try to create an eternal skill. Of course, the real power of eternal skills is too terrifying, and it is difficult for him to create them, but with this finger of the eternal realm, he can create a supreme skill that contains a trace of the power of eternal skills, which can also be called half-step eternity skills. According to Artifact Spirit, the half-step eternal realm basically has a large number of half-step eternal skills, and the best of them have mastered a variety of eternal skills. Therefore, there is still great hope for him to create a half-step eternal skill. This time in retreat, Yi Tian has been comprehending for a long time, and has fully comprehended the time of a robbery. During this period, the dark forbidden territory fell into a major destruction, but the human race had other exotic worlds, so all the races were transferred to other exotic worlds. In this great destruction, another robbery beast was born in the dark forbidden area, but it was obliterated by the invincible of the human race. After the Great Destruction, the Dark Forbidden Area came to the next robbery. A robbery time is almost a very short time for other supreme beings, but Etienne's cultivation speed has been too fast, so he feels that this retreat time is very long. The retreat time of a full robbery made Etienne improve on the eternal body. It is difficult for the eternal body to make progress, unless there is a treasure like the eternal spar, the eternal body can be promoted. But there is another way to improve the realm of the eternal body, and that is to actively improve the eternal body. Basically, other supreme beings can't do this, but Etienne has done it. He comprehended this finger of the eternal realm, and had a deep understanding of the eternal body, so he broke the shackles and forcibly raised the eternal body from the late entry stage to the entry peak, but this is already the limit, and he wants to upgrade to the small achievement realm. It is almost impossible to do without treasures like the eternal robbery spar. But this improvement is enough. At the same time, Etienne also successfully created a half-step eternal skill, which is a half-step eternal skill of destruction, which completely imitates the finger of the eternal realm. For this half-step eternal skill, Etienne named it Destruction Cut Finger. Once he uses this eternal finger, the power it exerts is absolutely no less than the real eternal skill. 5.8 Now, Etienne urges this finger with the realm of the second level supreme, and can burst out an attack comparable to the realm of the ninth level supreme, but it is only a single blow. After that, Etienne began to try to control this finger, not all of the explosive power, such as bursting out the power comparable to the 6th level supreme or the 7th level supreme. This will consume less and the cost will be smaller, so that it can exert more power. Second attack. But this eternal realm finger is too advanced, and it is difficult to control it. Etienne has tried for a long time, but he can only try to play the attack of the 7th level supreme, and he can play it 10 times, but he can't control it further. And after a period of tribulation, Etienne's cultivation has finally reached the pinnacle of the 2nd level supreme, and he is ready to hit the triple level supreme realm. Chapter 1605 The Battle of the Wind Ancient River. It is more difficult for a 2nd level supreme person to be promoted to a triple level supreme person than for a 1st level supreme person to advance to a 2nd level supreme person, but the difficulty is only greater. But last time, Etienne used up all the eternal ancient pine leaves and other auxiliary materials in order to attack the 2nd level supreme, so if he continues to attack the triple level supreme, the success rate is not too high. So, Etienne entered the Yuanshan Pavilion again. However, there are too few resources to help the 2nd level supreme person break through the 3rd level supreme person. Even in the Yuanshan Pavilion, it is difficult to trade such resources, unless you happen to have the resources owned by other supreme beings. You can trade the resources you need. Hey, there is actually a mission issued by the 12 ancestors of the Yuanshan Pavilion. Etienne was surprised. This task is about the Battle of Fenggu River. Fenggu River is one of the industries belonging to Fenggu Yuanzhu, one of the 12 ancestors of Yuanshan Pavilion. Fenggu River can also be said to be a treasure land, which can continuously give birth to Fengyuan crystal sand. And Fengyuan crystal sand is one of the 29 materials for refining origin artifacts, which is of great value in the Source Sea, and the entire Fenggu River can imagine how many Fengyuan crystal sands can be born. However, not long ago, the Eternal Tribulation clan set their sights on the Wind Ancient River, and used special means to pull the Wind Ancient River into the depths of the void, preparing to transform the Wind Ancient River into the Eternal Tribulation domain, and it was a high-level Eternal Tribulation domain. This time, the Eternal Tribulation clan dispatched a large number of clansmen, and even the half-step Eternal Realm dispatched 6 to join forces. Due to the sudden action, and the fact that the guards of Fengguhe were instantly erased, the news did not spread. When Fenggu Yuanzhu knew, Fengguhe had already been remodeled in half. Today, Wind Ancient River has not been completed, it is only equivalent to the middle-level Eternal Tribulation domain, and at most only the 6th level Supreme Person is allowed to enter it. At present, Fenggu Yuanzhu is preparing to retake Fenggu River. For this reason, Fenggu Yuanzhu sent a large number of Supreme Beings into the Fenggu River to fight against the Eternal Tribulation clan. If a large number of Eternal Tribulation clan were killed, or even the Eternal Tribulation clan was destroyed in the Fenggu River, then the Eternal Tribulation clan would be destroyed. There is no way to transform the Wind Ancient River, so there is hope that it will be recaptured by Fengji Yuanzhu. Many Eternal Tribulation clans are transformed from the Treasure Land, Etienne knows this. He just didn't expect Eternal Jizu to be so bold, to dare to attack Fengji Yuanzhu, one of the 12 ancestors of Yuanshan Pavilion, and offend such a great master. Is it really worth it? If Fengji Yuanzhu spares no expense, it will definitely bring huge losses to the Eternal Tribulation clan. Yi Tian didn't think about the reason. This time is also a good thing for him. At the very least, Feng Jiyu Yuanzu released this quest in Yuanshan Pavilion in order to gather more supreme beings, and the quest reward is very rich. Among these lists, there are various resources that help the supreme being to break through the realm, and some of them have no sequelae, and even the top resources that can help the 6th level supreme person break through the 7th level supreme person. Of course, if you want to get better treasures, you must kill more eternal robbers. If Yi Tian kills an eternal tribulation clan at the 6th level supreme level, it will be enough to exchange for the resources that will supply him to break through to the 3rd level supreme state. It is a pity that it is difficult for Xingzu to get too many resources. After all, Xingzu is sealed and he is also consuming resources. In addition, he was sealed too early, and the resources accumulated on him are not too many. Otherwise, Yi Tian will have more resources. If you squeeze a few times, you can also gather resources, and you don't need to get resources from Fenggu Yuanzu. The mission is over, Yi Tian decided. Although his cultivation is only in the realm of the 2nd level supreme, but even if he does not rely on the fingers of the eternal robbery, he is enough to exert the strength comparable to the ordinary 5th level supreme. If he exerts the power of the eternal fingers, a single blow it is enough to seriously injure or even kill the weaker 8-layer supreme. But compared with the supreme being of the 9 layers, he is still far from being able to do it. After all, he can only play a single blow, and he cannot hurt the supreme being of the 9 layers. But Gu Heifeng only allows the 6th level supreme person to enter, so what is he afraid of? After accepting this task, Yi Tian dispatched his cloned body to the Wind Ancient River with a finger of the Eternal Realm. Wind River. Yi Tian came here, and immediately after reporting his identity, he entered Fenggu Hene. Wow! Yi Tian shuttled through a void crack and came to an endless river. This is the Wind River. Fenggu River is composed of islands and river water, and Fengyuan crystal sand exists at the bottom of Fenggu River. However, there is not enough manpower and time to collect much wind source crystal sand, so Yi Tian has no interest in collecting wind source crystal sand. Wow! Yi Tian shuttled through the Wind Ancient River without hiding his breath at all. If he attracted the Eternal Tribulation clan to attack him, that would be a good thing. If the other party underestimates him and only thinks that he is an ordinary 2-level supreme, that is to give him a head. Unexpected, Yi Tian's copy talent sensed the existence of talent, and an Eternal Tribulation clan appeared in his perception. The other party hid his stature and breath and was approaching him. Boom! The other party suddenly launched an attack, which is an Eternal Robbery clan comparable to the realm of the 5th level supreme. The other party was very excited, thinking that he would definitely be able to kill Yi Tian with one blow. However, after Yi Tian added a lot of defense supreme skills to himself, he immediately cast the Finger of Destruction. Of course, Yi Tian did not use all his strength to urge Doomsweet, but only exerted a part of his power, displaying a power comparable to that of the 7th layer supreme. The Eternal Tribulation clan of the 5th level supreme realm did not expect Yi Tian's strength to be so terrifying. It was only in the 2nd layer supreme realm that he sent 797 to strike the 7th layer supreme realm. This is unreasonable. However, he didn't have time to think about it. Puff! A huge hole was pierced through his body, all his vitality was annihilated, and he turned into a corpse. Yi Tian forcibly suppressed the physical discomfort, immediately put away the corpse of this Eternal Tribulation clan, and left here quickly. After a long time, Yi Tian found an island, hidden in a grain of gravel, and tried his best to hide his breath, only then did he breathe a sigh of relief. Then, he began to treat the injuries caused by the urging of the Eternal's fingers. After a long time, the injury recovered. Keep going. Yi Tian muttered. Wow! He left from here, and continued to attract the Eternal Tribulation clan to attack him in this way, and then killed the opponent. Of course, Yi Tian is also very cautious, and leaves immediately once he notices 2 or more Eternal Tribulation clan. In this way, tens of thousands of years have passed. And Yi Tian killed a total of 13 Eternal Tribulation clan, of which there are 6 Eternal Tribulations in the realm of the 4th level supreme, 5 Eternal Tribulations in the 5th level supreme, and Eternal Tribulation in the 6th level supreme realm. There are 2. In order to kill the 6th layer supreme, Yi Tian even moved his fingers of the Eternal realm twice, and the injury was not light. Chapter 1606 Fengyuan Gold Crystal Mine, Take Action. Killing so many Eternal Tribulation clan is enough for Yi Tian to exchange enough resources to help him break through to the realm of the 3rd level supreme or even the 4th level supreme, so he is ready to leave and will not continue to take risks. After all, this body also carries a finger of the eternal realm power, which cannot be lost, otherwise the loss will be too great. Subsequently, Yi Tian was about to leave the Wind Ancient River, but at this moment, he sensed a lot of fluctuations in the battle, and the battle situation there was probably very intense. A massive battle, Yi Tian guessed. He wondered if he should go to participate, or would he just choose to leave regardless of the large-scale battle. Take a look, what if it's a big chance? Besides, with my strength, as long as I'm not surrounded by many 6th-level supreme beings, I'm not afraid of danger, and I can even leave easily. Yi Tian thought to himself. So, he dived into the past. Soon, he came to this battlefield. A large number of Eternal Tribulation clan and the Supremes are fighting here, and there are many of them in the 6th layer, here. At this moment, many Eternal Tribulation clan guarded an island, and the dense formations protected it. Although many large formations were damaged, the Supremes could not break into this place for a while. Obviously, the target of the Supremes is this island. Suddenly, a 6th-level Supreme person joined the battlefield with a top-notch source weapon, and suddenly burst into combat power comparable to the top 7th-level Supreme person. In an instant, the 3 Eternal Tribulations of the 6th-layer Supreme Realm were severely injured. Then, the 6th-level Supreme person sacrificed the source of defense and rushed to the island under the protection of many Supreme beings. I saw that he took out the source of the formation, and the power of a single blow directly penetrated all the dense formations. Shout out. The island was shattered, and a huge ore vein connected to the bottom of the Fungu River was exposed. This is not the wind source crystal sand vein, but... oh my god, it turned out to be the Fengyuan gold crystal mine. Yi Tian was moved. Although Fengyuan Jinjing belongs to the same vein as Fengyuan Jingsha, its value is very different. Fengyuan Jingjing can not only be used to refine origin artifacts, but can even be used to extract Fengyuan gold liquid. The eternal body is of great help, and its value is much higher than that of the eternal robbery stone. How many Fengyuan gold crystals can be born from such a Fengyuan gold crystal ore? It is unimaginable. It is conceivable that the value of this wind source gold crystal vein is so huge that even a half-step eternal realm might be moved. However, it is also more troublesome to mine Fengyuan gold crystal veins. The Fengyuan gold crystal vein is too strong, it is naturally very difficult to separate the Fengyuan gold crystal, and the vein is connected to the Fungu River. If you want to uproot the vein at once, even half-step eternal realm will not be able to do it, unless it is truly the eternal realm shot. The Eternal Tribulation clan has long discovered this vein and has been mining it secretly, but the efficiency is not high. But even so, the Eternal Tribulation clan also mined a lot of Fengyuan gold crystals and made a lot of money. At this time, many supreme people broke into the Fengyuan gold crystal vein, and they didn't even think about getting many Fengyuan gold crystals. Even if they obtained a large piece of Fengyuan gold crystal, it would be a huge harvest. Boom, a high-profile person is bombarding the ore veins, and he doesn't care whether it will damage some of the wind source gold crystals. Occasionally, a piece of wind source gold crystal pops up, and after the supreme person grabs it, he chooses to flee here directly, not thinking about the second wind source gold crystal at all. Yi Tian didn't make a move immediately, except for the eternal realm finger. His real strength is not very strong, and the conventional combat power is not enough. So he can't fight for a long time. Can't he just grab a few pieces of Fengyuan gold crystal? Therefore, he is waiting for an opportunity. At this time, not only the Supremes were robbing the wind source gold crystal, but the Eternal Tribulation clan saw that they could not stop it, and also began to snatch the wind source gold crystal with the Supremes. It has to be said that the number of the Eternal Tribulation clan is still quite large, so they robbed a lot of Fengyuan gold crystals, but many Fengyuan gold crystals were also destroyed. Bombardment, almost 70% to 80% of the wind source gold crystal was wasted. But without this method, it would take a long time to mine a piece of wind source gold crystal. How can there be such a long time for them now? Time passed slowly, and this Fengyuan gold crystal mine was already torn apart, and it was horrible to see. However, many Fengyuan gold crystals were still mined. However, many Supremes ran away after snatching Fengyuan Jinjing, and the Eternal Tribulation clan had the upper hand at this moment. In desperation, the other supreme beings did not dare to stay here and chose to flee. The Eternal Tribulation clan is also worried that their wind source golden crystals will be robbed by the Supremes, so they must send these wind source golden crystals out of Funguhe as soon as possible. Those eternal robbers who snatched the wind source gold crystal immediately took out their wind source gold crystal and handed it over to a 6th level supreme person. This 6th level supreme person is very powerful. The powerful existence of the Void God Sun. Just when the Eternal Tribulation Clan confiscated Fengyuan Jinjing and chose to leave here and return to the Eternal Tribulation Clan headquarters, Yi Tian took action. Great opportunity. Yi Tian immediately mobilized the Finger of the Eternal Realm and used the Finger of Destruction. This time, although he didn't use all his strength to mobilize the Fingers of the Eternal Realm, he almost mobilized most of his strength, and unleashed a blow that was comparable to the combat power of the top 8 layer Supreme. No, Zhao Nuo Zhao, the Eternal Tribulation Clan and the Eternal Tribulation Clan around him were dumbfounded. This is a blow comparable to the realm of the Eightfold Supreme. Could it be that Feng Guhe has entered an Eightfold Supreme? But how is this possible? At present, only the 6th level Supreme person is allowed to enter the Wind Ancient River. Can't stop. Because the other Eternal Tribulation Clan gathered together, it was too late to escape, and they turned into ashes one by one, and the Eternal Tribulation Clan who was comparable to the Void God Child tried to fight this blow with all his strength, but it was still a little worse. Boom! The body of this Eternal Tribulation Clan collapsed, its vitality was annihilated, and it turned into a corpse. Whoa whoa whoa! Yi Tian took away one corpse and treasures, and opened here due to his physical injuries. Soon, Yi Tian came to an exit of the Wind Ancient River and returned to the outside world. Chapter 1607 The Endless Eternal Body has become small. Yi Tian came out of Fenggu Hene and immediately chose to enter the Yuanshan Pavilion. Although his injury was serious, he would not fall. Right now, he wanted to exchange resources as soon as possible, or else Fenggu Yuanzu's resources suitable for breaking through the realm would be exchanged. He can only exchange other resources. So, he began to submit the task, and took out the corpses of the eternal robbers to submit the task. The Yuanshan Pavilion naturally has a way to identify the time of death of these eternal robbers, and it can be inferred whether they fell in Fenggu Hene. This task cannot be faked. Soon, the identification was completed, and Yi Tian completed everything. Afterwards, Yi Tian started to exchange some scarce resources. For example, Shu's Hanye and Sanhuaguo on the other side, which are very suitable for the 2nd level Supreme Person to break through the realm of the 3rd level Supreme Person, are both of great value, even better than the eternal ancient pine leaves, but these 2 treasures only have some special treasures. It is also relatively rare. Yi Tian immediately exchanged these 2 treasures, and finally exchanged for a rare treasure that can help the 3rd level Supreme Person to attack the 4th level Supreme Person Undead Source Heart Liquid. This treasure is taken from the heart blood essence of the Undead Source Bird, the final condensed drop of Undead Source Heart Liquid. Its value is very high, because the Immortal Source Bird is very powerful. It is a special Source Sea Life, can become the Supreme One in adulthood, and the best among them can become the 7 Supremes. To get a drop of 797 Undead Origin Heart Liquid, you have to kill an Undead Origin Bird, which is why the value is so high. The Immortal Source Heart Liquid can help the Triple Supreme to break through to the 4th Supreme without any sequelae, but once used, it will have no effect in the future. It can be said that this resource can only be used once. After exchanging these resources, Yi Tian's contribution value from completing the task was almost exhausted, so he left the Origin God Pavilion and quickly returned to the Void Origin Hall. Void Origin Hall. Yi Tian made the cloned body disintegrate automatically, because the consumption of reproducing the cloned body is not large, and the injury consumption of restoring the cloned body is even greater, and it takes a long time. Instead, it's better to just let the copy body collapse. Copying the body collapsed, Yi Tian recovered the Finger of the Eternal Realm, and immediately began to organize the harvest. This time, after killing those eternal robbers, the other resources obtained will not be mentioned. Fengyuan Jinjing is the big gain. Wow! A large number of wind source gold crystals were placed on the ground of the Void Origin Hall, forming a giant mountain. Good luck this time, I have obtained so many Fengyuan Jinjings. Yi Tian was in a very good mood. If others knew that he had obtained so many Fengyuan gold crystals, they would be jealous to death. The Eternal Robbery Clan, the only supreme eternal robbery domain. A 9th level Eternal Tribulation Clan in charge of the Battle of the Wind Ancient River heard that a 6th level Eternal Tribulation Clan comparable to the Void God Sun was killed, and a large number of Fengyuan gold crystals were robbed, and they were immediately extremely angry. It's a pity that he can't enter, otherwise, Yi Tian must be intercepted. Then, he passed the news to a half-step eternal existence of the Eternal Robbery family, Tianshu Robbery Ancestor. Tianshu Tribulation Ancestor is also an incomparably powerful existence in the half-step eternal realm, ranking the top 3 in the Eternal Tribulation clan. It was he who advocated the annexation of Feng Guhe and implemented this plan. When he learned that Yi Tian showed a strength comparable to that of the 8th heaven, he immediately frowned. The Supreme Being itself is not of high realm, and he should have used external force to break out the realm of the 8th Supreme Being, and he definitely paid a heavy price, but it is likely to be just a clone. If it is the main body, the other party will not pay such a big price. Tianshu Jizu thought, losing some wind source gold crystals is nothing, and Fungu River is not only the wind source gold crystal. Moreover, the real purpose of the Eternal Robbery Clan is not to seize these wind source gold crystals. Some Feng Yuan Jin Jing will not let him take the risk of offending Feng Ji Yu Yuan Zhu. He has a bigger purpose, and even Feng Ji Yu Yuan Zhu may not know this secret. If the Supreme Person can continue to shoot, CJFI will easily threaten my plan, and we must dispatch a few 6th-level Eternal Robbers with powerful cards, at least let them have a way to fight against the 8th-level Supreme Person. From the perspective of the situation at the time, the opponent only has the power of one strike. As long as the opponent resists this strike, the opponent will not have any resistance. Tianshu Jizu decided. Soon, he found 2 6th-stage Eternal Tribulation Clan. Not long after, 2 6th-level Eternal Robbery Clans came to the Tianshu Robbery Ancestor and respectfully said, I have seen the Tianshu Robbery Ancestor. Tianshu Jizu directly ordered, I will let you go to Fungu River, and I have an important task for you. Yes, the 2 6th-layer Eternal Tribulation Ancestors responded immediately. Woohoo, 2 treasures fell into their hands. Tianshu Jizu introduced. These 2 treasures are Indefinite Armor and Void Water. Indefinite Armor defends everything, even a single blow from the 8th Supreme Being can't kill you, but once you use it, you will consume yourself. The potential of the emptiness water can turn itself into a state of nothingness, and even the attack of the Supreme Being of the 8th realm can weaken more than 90%. But it will also initially affect the eternal body, so it is not in a desperate situation. You cannot use these 2 treasures, but once you are in a desperate situation, you must use it. Yes, Tianshu Tribulation Ancestor. The 2 6th-layer Eternal Tribulation Ancestors nodded in response. Later, Tianshu Jizu sent this mission to the 2 Eternal Tribulation Clan, so that they must keep it secret. Even if they fell, they could not say it. Then, the 2 Eternal Tribulation Clan rushed to the Wind Ancient River. The other side, Yi Tian began to refine the special substance of Fengyuan Golden Liquid in the Fengyuan Golden Crystal. Basically, a large piece of Fengyuan Golden Liquid can only extract a small drop of Fengyuan Golden Liquid. It seems that there are a lot of Fengyuan Gold crystals, but in the end, if all of them are extracted, about 100 milliliters of Fengyuan Gold Liquid can be extracted. Years passed, and the refining process went smoothly. One day, Yi Tian finally refined all Fengyuan Golden crystals into Fengyuan Golden Liquid. Then, he began to absorb the Wind Source Gold Liquid to enhance his endless eternal body. The first drop of Wind Source Gold Liquid turned into a majestic energy that swept through the body. Boom! The endless eternal body seems to have turned into a gluttonous beard and is swallowing this drop of Wind Source Gold Liquid. The white endless eternal body, which was at the peak of entry, actually broke the shackles of the endless eternal body under this drop of Fengyuan Gold. Click! The bottleneck was broken, and Yi Tian's endless eternal body entered the realm of small success. Chapter 1608 Breakthrough, Triple Supreme. The effect of Fengyuan Gold Liquid is too good, no wonder those Supreme people are so crazy to snatch Fengyuan Jinjing. Yi Tian said in shock. Of course, he was actually only one step away from breaking through, and Fengyuan Jinye only played a role as an introduction, which could help him break the shackles and elevate the endless eternal body to the realm of small achievement. But it is a little difficult to raise the endless eternal body to the realm of great achievement. I am afraid that refining these Wind Source Gold Liquids will not be successful. Subsequently, Yi Tian continued refining the Fengyuan Gold Liquid, and he refined every drop of the Fengyuan Gold Liquid, increasing the growth of the endless eternal body. Gradually, Yi Tian's endless eternity body became stronger and stronger. Early childhood, middle school, late stage, the pinnacle of Shaocheng. Just when the Wind Source Golden Liquid was completely exhausted, Yi Tian's endless eternal body finally broke the shackles of Shaocheng to Dacheng realm, and was promoted to Dacheng realm. Boom! The endless eternal body of the Dacheng realm is much stronger than the endless eternal body of the beginning peak. At this moment, Yi Tian felt the power of the endless eternal body of the Dacheng realm. If you let the copy body urge the fingers of the eternal realm to exert a full-strength blow comparable to the 8th level supreme, there will not be too serious injuries, and even fully urge that part of the eternal realm fingers. Unleash the power of a blow from the 9 supremes, and the injury will not be too serious. If it is desperate, the duplicate body is afraid that it will be able to display the attack power of the 9 supremes twice. Moreover, his conventional combat power is probably also improved to the top combat power of the 5th level Supreme, and it is not very far from the 6th level Supreme. Once he breaks through to the realm of the 3rd level Supreme, I am afraid that he will really possess the top combat power of the 6th level Supreme. After the endless eternal body has been upgraded to the Dacheng realm, it will be very difficult to continue to improve. After all, his endless eternity surpassed the upper eternity and reached the level of the legendary eternity. Such an eternity is extremely powerful, but it is also extremely difficult to upgrade. However, even the endless eternals of the Dacheng level are comparable to the upper eternals of the general perfection realm. It's time to hit the realm of the triple supreme. Yi Tian muttered. He took out the Mizusawa cold leaves, the other side 3-flower fruit, and several other auxiliary resources, and then began to refine them after swallowing them. Break. Yi Tian snorted lowly. The shackles between the 2nd level Supreme Realm and the 3rd level Supreme Realm were broken by Yi Tian, and a more powerful aura spread out from Yi Tian. At this moment, he broke the shackles and was promoted to the realm of the Triple Supreme. Breaking through is easy. Yi Tian felt it, but this is also very normal. After all, his understanding of the eternal rules is too deep, and there are Mizusawa Hanye and Sanwagwo on the other side as breakthrough aids. If he can't easily break through, it will be strange. Yi Tian spent some years consolidating the realm of the Triple Supreme, and then began to inquire about the situation of Feng Guhe. If the Wind Ancient River situation does not change too much, he is ready to enter the Wind Ancient River again. If he kills more Eternal Tribulation clan, he can obtain more resources from Feng Gu Yuanzu. If he is lucky, he might be able to encounter Feng Yuan Jinjing, which will make a lot of money. Today, the Eternal Robbery Crystal Stone of the Eternal Robbery family is not effective for him. He has also refined some before, but unfortunately there is no improvement, but the Wind Source Gold Crystal is still effective. If there is enough Wind Source Gold liquid, he is estimated to be able to raise the endless eternal body to the perfect state. Therefore, he also wants to obtain more Feng Yuan Jinjing. Source God Pavilion. Yi Tian entered here. After all, this time it was the Battle of Fenggu River organized by Feng Gu Yuanzu, so the latest news could only be inquired in Yuanshan Pavilion. After communicating with each supreme person, Yi Tian roughly knew the situation. After knowing that Feng Guhe possesses the Wind Source Gold Crystal, many supreme beings poured into Feng Guhe. The Eternal Tribulation clan suffered heavy losses, but the supremes also suffered great losses. Many powerful and famous supremes fell in the Wind Ancient River. Moreover, a half-step Eternal Realm disciple died in the Wind Ancient River. Yi Tian felt very strange that the Eternal Tribulation clan was so persistent in competing for the Wind Ancient River. Although the strength of the Eternal Tribulation clan is very strong, it can't stand it like this. The Eternal Tribulation clan has only one supreme Eternal Tribulation domain, and it is also targeted by many forces. This time, in order to occupy the Wind Ancient River, the Eternal Tribulation clan has continuously mobilized the Eternal Tribulation clan from the Supreme Eternal Tribulation domain, and has lost a lot of the Eternal Tribulation clan. For flowers, if the losses continue, even if the Eternal Tribulation clan really occupies the Wind Ancient River, they will not be able to return to their roots, right? Even if the value of Feng Yuan Gold Crystal is high, it can't make up for the loss of a large number of clansmen. So, Yi Tian didn't understand very much. Perhaps the Eternal Tribulation clan has a bigger plan. Yi Tian thought to himself. This time, he is going to not carry the fingers of the Eternal Realm. Although his strength is unable to compete with those 6th-level Eternal Robbery clans comparable to the Void God Child, but his life-saving ability is powerful. Star Ancestor can rely on the ancient Star Eternal Body to save his life in front of the top half-step Eternal Realm, and his endless Eternal Body is more powerful than the ancient Star Eternal Body in terms of life protection. The 6th stage Eternal Tribulation clan cannot kill him at all, even some 7th stage Eternal Tribulation clan couldn't kill him either. Therefore, even if he does not carry the Eternal Realm's powerful finger, it is enough to save his life. Wow! Yi Tian quickly rushed to the ancient river again, whirling into the Wind Ancient River, ready to investigate the situation. The depths of Yuanshan Pavilion. The 12 patriarchs are having a meeting. Feng Gu Yuanzu, you are a special being in the Source Sea, and the Feng Gu River used to be your birthplace. What is there that is worth so much trouble for the Eternal Tribulation clan? As far as I know, the Eternal Tribulation clan lost this time. There are hundreds of thousands of people, and in order to transform the Wind Ancient River into the Eternal Tribulation domain, the resources mobilized are even more numerous. If it is only for the unknown number of Feng Yuan Gold Crystal veins, then I don't believe it. One of the 12 patriarchs, the true River Sword Patriarch, said. Fungu Yuanzu shook his head and said, I really don't know. Although I was born in Fungu River, I have not returned for endless years. From my original point of view, there are not many resources in Fungu River, only Fengyuan crystal sand is still available. It's a good thing, I don't even know when Fengyuhe gave birth to Fengyuan Jinjing. As far as I know, Fengyuan Jinjing should have been born not long ago. Otherwise I can't get the news. As for why the eternal tribulation ancestor captured the Wind Ancient River, I have a guess in my heart. What guess? Jianzhu Junhe and the others were curious. Chapter 1609 Innate Eternal Life. What if Fengyuhe gave birth to an innate eternal life? 1 inch. Feng Jiyu Yuanzu guessed. What, you mean innate eternal life? Junhe Jianzhu said incredulously. The other 12 ancestors were also shocked by this guess. Innate eternal life is an extremely rare life. Once it is shot, it has an eternal body. Once it is an adult, it is comparable to half-step eternal realm. Moreover, the innate eternal life has a greater chance of breaking through to the eternal realm than the half-step eternal realm. According to rumors, 50% of the powers of the eternal realm are innate eternal life. From this, it can be seen how awesome the innate eternal life is. Junhe Jianzhu hurriedly asked again, Fengu Yuanzu, how rare is the innate eternal life, why do you have such a guess? 797, Feng Jiyu Yuanzu said. I am not guessing randomly. First of all, once the innate eternal life is officially born, the movement will be very big, and it will attract many strong people. The last time innate eternal life was born, it attracted a lot of people less than half a step in the eternal realm, and even fighting for this, 3 half-step eternal realms fell. In the end, an eternal realm appeared and took the innate eternal life away. If the Eternal Robbery Clan discovered that the innate eternal life was to be born, thus occupying the Wind Ancient River, and then transforming the Wind Ancient River into the Eternal Tribulation Domain. Then pay a huge price to block the Eternal Tribulation Domain. In that case, outsiders will not be able to enter, and they will not be able to discover the vision and the birth of innate eternal life. Moved. Junhe Jianzhu shook his head and said, this is just speculation, not evidence. Feng Jiyu Yuanzu smiled and said, indeed, this is not evidence, or even related, but before Fengyuhe was occupied by the Eternal Tribulation Clan, a message came from the guards of Fengyuhe, saying that in Fengyuhe a strange place was found somewhere, and it seemed that some life was being conceived. I didn't pay much attention to it at the time, because it was just a small matter, so I didn't take it seriously. Now I think about it, could it be the birth of innate eternal life? And my subordinates have no knowledge, they don't know the innate eternal life at all, so they only report to me that it is a special life. If you add this information, it is really possible that it is innate eternal life. 1. Junhe Jianzhu nodded. At this time, another 12 ancestor, Beiyang Yuanzu asked, Fengu Yuanzu, do you know the specific location of that special life? I don't know. Feng Jiyu Yuanzu shook his head. I didn't ask for the location because I didn't care. If I knew the location, I would have sent the Supreme Being to investigate the information as soon as possible, instead of guessing here. If there really is an innate eternal life, then the Eternal Tribulation Clan will definitely try to occupy the Wind Ancient River at all costs, and there are not many Supreme People under our command. Even if we launch a bounty mission, many Supreme People are willing to save their lives, not necessarily working hard for that little resource. In the end, the Eternal Tribulation Clan will suffer heavy losses, but if they get the innate eternal life, all the losses will be made up for it. Junhe Jianzhu said. Then what should we do? Feng Jiyu Yuanzu asked. They thought for a while, and one of the 12 patriarchs, Saint I Yuanzu proposed, there is news that Fengyuhe is very likely to have innate eternal life, and even spread the word of your subordinates to you. I believe there will be some people believe that even if they take risks and enter the Wind Ancient River, many forces will probably send people to investigate the authenticity. In that case, the Eternal Tribulation Clan will not be able to successfully capture the Wind Ancient River. This method is fine, I agree. Feng Jiyu Yuanzu immediately agreed. Next, the 12 ancestors spread the news, and it quickly spread to all the major forces in the Source Sea. Void Origin Hall. Yi Tian also received a message from the Source Temple, and was immediately shocked. Innate eternal life. Is this guess reliable? He is not very clear, but if it is true, it can explain why the Eternal Tribulation Clan did this. When Yi Tian shared the matter of innate eternal life with the Void Origin Temple Item Spirit, the Void Origin Temple Item Spirit revealed a piece of information. Master, in fact, the last master also fell because of the innate eternal life. Artifact said, Didn't you say that you were hunted down by a great enemy and eventually fell to your death? Yi Tian wondered. Qi Ling explained. Actually, it was the master and the enemy who robbed the innate eternal life at the beginning. If it wasn't for the master, the half-step eternal realm might have really succeeded in stealing the innate eternal life, but the master stopped him in time. In the end, the master was seriously injured and gave up the fight. Finally, I heard that a mysterious eternal realm appeared and took away the innate eternal life in an instant. The enemy lost the innate eternal life and blamed all the sins on the master, so he came to hunt down the master who was being wounded and healed. The master knew that he could not survive, so he threw the Void Origin Hall into a forbidden area and started to flee, but he was killed by the opponent in the end, but the master also severely injured the opponent. So it is. Yi Tian understood. Immediately, he asked even more curiously, why do you want to snatch the innate eternal life? Qi Ling said, innate eternal life can grow to half-step eternal realm when it is an adult. If you use special means to seize an innate eternal life, if you succeed, you can grow into half-step eternal realm in the future, and even have a certain chance to break through to become eternal realm. Of course, the success rate of seizing the innate eternal life is too low. This is not the case for most people who want to snatch the innate eternal realm. In fact, the innate eternal life body contains extremely high innate eternal rules. If you have an innate eternal life, you can always comprehend the 5.8 innate eternal rules, which will help to break through the realm in the future and impact the eternal realm. Many forces want to seize the innate eternal life, and the goal is to imprison it, so that the supreme people can comprehend and practice. Moreover, the innate eternal crystal core of innate eternal life has the function of assisting the 9 supremes to break through the half-step eternal realm. Hearing the benefits mentioned by the tool spirit, Yi Tian finally understood why everyone wanted innate eternal life. At this time, he was a little excited. If Yuanshan Pavilion's guess is true, then he has found the innate eternal life. Does it mean that he can also copy the innate eternal life? As soon as he thought of this, he immediately let his duplicate body explore the Wind Ancient River to find the innate eternal life. Chapter 1610 Found It. Wind River. Yi Tian turns on the copying talent all the time to investigate the surrounding situation. Although the innate eternal life is not completely born, the talent is not obvious, he may not be able to detect, but there must be a lot of eternal robbers stationed near the innate eternal life. Therefore, his probing in this way is also useful. However, the Wind Ancient River is too large, and this way of searching may take a long time. During the period, Yi Tian was also discovered by the Eternal Tribulation clan. Although he did not have the fingers of the eternal realm, he still showed a strong fighting ability, terrifying recovery ability, and life-saving ability. The Jing Eternal Tribulation clan was surrounded, and he could easily escape. As the news of innate eternal life spread, a large number of supremes poured into the Wind Ancient River, which brought enormous pressure to the Eternal Tribulation clan for a while. A large number of eternal robbers were beheaded and became the harvest of the supreme. At the same time, the Tianshu Jizu of the Supreme Eternal Tribulation domain was anxious. If this situation continues, Feng Guhe is afraid that it will fall. In that case, the price paid by the Eternal Tribulation clan will be in vain. Whoa. One by one, the Eternal Tribulation clan of the Eternal Realm appeared in front of the Tianshu Jizu, and among them was the first half-step Eternal Realm of the Eternal Tribulation clan, the Calamity Tribulation Ancestor. I have seen the ancestors of natural disasters. Tianshu Jizu said respectfully. As soon as the Calamity Robbery Ancestor came, he asked, Tianshu, does Feng Guhe have innate eternal life? The Battle of Feng Guhe is completely a plan initiated by you, and we have not asked, but this time the Eternal Robbery family lost a lot, and the outside world it is rumored that Furukawa is born with innate eternal life, so I have to ask you. 1. The other half-step eternal realms are also waiting for Tianshu Jizu's answer. After a while of silence, Tianshu Jizu replied, yes. He didn't dare to lie, otherwise he would definitely be able to find out. After all, the power of the Calamity Robber was even greater than him, and if an order was given, the situation of Feng Guhe would definitely appear in front of him. Therefore, he can only answer truthfully. The matter of innate eternal life is very important, but you should discuss it with me. Calamity Tribulation Ancestor said coldly. Yes. Tianshu Jizu lowered his head and did not dare to refute. Forget it, you didn't do anything wrong in this matter. It's the same for anyone else. Right now, we must completely capture Feng Guhe, and we must not expose the innate eternal life. At present, the outside world is only suspicious, but there is no definite evidence. Zhu said. Afterwards, the ancestor of Calamity Tribulation issued an order to send more Eternal Tribulation clan into Fungu River, and all kinds of powerful treasures were given to him, and he decided to keep the innate eternal life at all costs. With a large number of Eternal Tribulations supporting Funguhe, a bigger war began. The entire Funguhe turned into a huge battlefield, which made it difficult for Suhe to find the innate eternal life. At this time, even if he copied the body of the Eternal Tribulation clan, he would not be able to find the innate eternal life. Because there must be very few eternal robbers who know the innate eternal life, perhaps only a few eternal robbers know about the entire Fungu River. Look slowly and see luck, Yi Tian thought to himself. As the years passed, the slaughter of Fungu River became more and more serious. Yi Tian gained a lot, and another Fungyuan gold crystal vein appeared. Yi Tian also grabbed a little Fungyuan gold crystal again. In the blink of an eye, a dark calendar time passed. Finally, on this day, Yi Tian's cloned body detected some eternal robbery ancestors. These eternal tribulations are located at the bottom of the Fungu River and are very concentrated. Even if he came here, these eternal robbers did not shoot him. Moreover, these eternal tribulations are very secretive. If he does not need to copy the talent to explore, he will not know that there are eternal tribulations here. Could it be here? Yi Tian guessed. He was going to go down and have a look. Even if this replica body fell, it wouldn't be a big deal. Wow! Yi Tian shuttled to the bottom of the Fungu River and sensed a large formation. This large formation covered an area at the bottom of the Fungu River, which made it impossible for people to spy on the situation here. Yi Tian said nothing and immediately attacked this great formation. Boom! With just one blow, this great formation shattered. After all, it is impossible for such a concealed formation to have such a strong defense. If the defense is too strong, it will be easily discovered. When the great formation shattered, the angry gazes of the two eternal robbers came over. The next moment, they shot Yi Tian. As soon as they fought, Yi Tian was completely suppressed. These two Eternal Tribulation clan are very powerful, not weaker than the top Void God Son, and they are definitely not too far from the Void Lord who has passed through the third floor of the Void Tower. They are definitely the top geniuses of the Eternal Tribulation clan in this era. At the time of the fight, Yi Tian spied on the situation here. He sensed a majestic aura of life, incomparably rich, and revealed a supreme eternal aura. It turned out to be an innate eternal life. Although it has not been conceived, it will not be very far from the day it will be conceived. Yi Tian was surprised. Now, the two Eternal Tribulations were also nervous, and the other Eternal Tribulations were not strong enough to help. They were able to defeat Yi Tian, but Yi Tian's life-saving ability was too terrifying. He's hard to kill, don't kill him, seal him. The two eternal robbers decided. 797 Yi Tian knew very well that after all, these two Eternal Tribulation clan were really strong, so Chiyu made too much resistance and soon let the two Eternal Tribulation clan seal him up. Of course, Yi Tian can self-annihilate this replica body at any time. However, he did not do so. The innate eternal life has not been completely born. Even if I let the replica body take the fingers of the eternal realm and kill these two people, I will not be able to completely occupy this place. At that time, the Eternal Robbery clan will definitely send a large number of the clansmen come to besiege me. It is better to wait until the last moment and then let the copy body come over. Yi Tian thought so. The Eternal Tribulation clan sealed Yi Tian, thinking that the problem was solved, and immediately began to re-establish the formation and hide it here. Time goes by so slowly. The Eternal Tribulation clan is also very anxious, because it is getting closer and closer to the birth of the innate eternal life. If it is not able to completely occupy the Fungu River, the birth of the innate eternal life will attract the attention of a large number of supreme beings. At that time, the Eternal Tribulation clan would have to pay a heavy price to hope to take away the innate eternal life, and it might not even succeed. This day, the Tianshu Jizu and the Natural Disaster Jizu started a meeting. They have a new plan. Chapter 1611 The Tianshu Tribulation Ancestor of Self-Cultivation. At the meeting, the ancestor of the Calamity Tribulation ordered, Tianshu, according to the current progress, if you want to completely transform the Wind Ancient River into the Eternal Tribulation domain, I am afraid that you will not be able to do it, so I order you to enter the Wind Ancient River immediately when the innate eternal life is about to be born. Take away the innate eternal life. In that case, no one can stop you. Once you bring the innate eternal life here, even the eternal realm will have a hard time stealing the innate eternal life from us. The ancestor of natural disaster tribulation, I am a half-step eternal realm, and I cannot enter the Wind Ancient River. The ancestor of the natural disaster robbery said solemnly. No, you can enter, you know, said the ancestor of the disaster. Suddenly, Tianshu Jizu realized what the words of Tianshu Jizu meant. The ancestor of the natural disaster, you want me to cut off the cultivation base? Tianshu Jizu was angry. That's right, said the ancestor of the calamity, it is very difficult for you to make progress in your own cultivation. It is not a bad thing to cut your cultivation, and after you have cut your cultivation, you can still continue to cultivate, and it will not be long before you can continue to board. Half-step eternity. 11. If the cultivation base is cut off, my own potential and foundation will also be cut off, and I will not be able to enter an inch in the future. Tianshu Jizu said angrily. It's for the clan, the calamity robbery ancestor said. Tianshu tribulation ancestor is not reconciled. Although he has very little hope of continuing to improve, he is still the third tribulation ancestor of the eternal tribulation clan. But he did not dare to resist the ancestors of natural disasters, because the ancestors of natural disasters were really powerful. If not for the ancestors of natural disasters, the eternal tribulation family would have been wiped out long ago. The ancestor of natural disaster tribulation, I will cut my own cultivation base and enter the wind ancient river. Tianshu Jizu reluctantly agreed. That's right, it's all about the race. An innate eternal life, if used properly, is enough to bring huge benefits to the eternal robbery ancestors, and even allow the eternal robbery clan to take off and rise completely, and no longer shrink in the supreme eternal robbery domain. Even in the future, the eternal tribulation clan will dare to appear in the source sea openly and above board. Time flies. On this day, Yi Tian clearly sensed the changes in the outside world. Although he was sealed, he was still able to initially sense the situation in the outside world. At this time, the vision of the birth of innate eternal life has begun to emerge. It's time to prepare. Yi Tian immediately annihilated this copy of his body. He doesn't want to continue to waste time. If he misses the opportunity and let the eternal tribulation clan instantly take away the innate eternal life, he won't have time to encounter the innate eternal life. After all, he is now sealed, there is no way to copy the innate eternal life, he can only re-enter. Void Origin Hall. Yi Tian accelerated the time, and soon condensed a replica body, and let the replica body carry the fingers of the eternal realm. After all, once he is close to the innate eternal life, he is afraid that he will fight the eternal robbery. No one knows what power the eternal tribulation clan will send at the last moment, so they must go there in the most powerful state. Soon, Yi Tian came to the wind ancient river, entered it, and shuttled to the vicinity of the birthplace of innate eternal life at the fastest speed. At this time, the vision here is already expanding. I am afraid that it will not be long before the entire Fungu River will be covered by the vision. Boom! A single horned creature with a height of billions and billions of phantoms roared in the void, and the sound fluctuated and shook the sky. This is the phantom shadow. Soon, several supreme beings nearby sensed it and notified them immediately. Therefore, countless supreme beings know that the innate eternal life was born here, and rush here. At the same time, the dense army of the eternal tribulation clan entered here. After all, you can't hide it, so you can't hide it. Supreme eternal tribulation domain. The Tianshu Jizu started to cut himself and cultivate himself under the order of the Tianshu Jizu. In the void, the blades of eternal rules cut into his body from nothingness. A scream of screams came from the mouth of Tianshu Jizu, and his breath continued to decrease. 9 realms, Eightfold Realm, 7th Realm. It was only after it was lowered to the peak of the 6th level that Tianshu Jizu stopped. Only the peak of the 6th level can enter the wind ancient river, so it is enough to reduce the self-slaying cultivation base to this level. At this time, Tianshu Jizu used a precious healing treasure to quickly recover the injuries caused by his self-slashing cultivation. Tianshu Tribulation Ancestor, although your cultivation base has been reduced to the peak of the 6th level, you have mastered an eternal skill after all, and your mastery of the rules of eternity far exceeds that of other 6 levels, and your eternal body has reached the perfect state. The body is incomparably strong, enough to exert a strength comparable to the peak of the 8th level realm, and with the help of the treasures in the clan, it is enough to raise the strength to the 9th level realm. The Calamity Robbery Ancestor said. Don't worry, I will definitely bring back the innate eternal life. Tianshu Jizu assured, but he was not in a good mood. After a casual response, he was ready to go to Funguhe, and he didn't want to talk to the natural disaster Jizu here. Soon, Tianshu Tribulation Ancestor descended on Funguhe, the birthplace of innate eternal life. Countless Wuyong entered and saw the elephant, more than excited. This is innate eternal life, its value is unimaginable. Moreover, at this time, everyone in the outside world has offered sky-high prices for the half-step eternal realm. If you get the innate eternal life, even if you can't keep it, if you give it to the half-step eternal realm, you can also get enough resources to cultivate yourself to the 9th level realm. Kill the Eternal Tribulation Clan. The Supreme Army and the Eternal Robbery Army fought. Unexpected, a grey palm emerged from the void, and with one blow, the densely packed Supreme Being was smashed into pieces. Zhao Nujiao, the power of this blow is so terrifying. Do not. An unremarkable person was extremely fearful in his heart, and his body was crushed into pieces under a terrifying force. At this time, Tianshu Tribulation Ancestor appeared. The Supreme Person recognized the Tianshu Jizu, and suddenly showed an unbelievable look. It's the third ancestor of the Eternal Tribulation Clan, Tianshu Tribulation Ancestor. How could he appear here? Only the 6th stage Eternal Tribulation Clan is allowed to enter here. He is a half-step Eternal Realm. No, he killed himself. He is now in the 6th realm. Flee quickly, even the Tianshu Tribulation Ancestor of the 6th level is far from what we can deal with. A large number of Supreme Beings are fleeing, but Tianshu Jizu is not hunting down, because protecting the innate eternal life is the most important. At this moment, the innate eternal life was officially born. And Yi Tian also approached here for the first time, and motivated the copy talent. Chapter 16:12 The Eternal Realm has taken action. The copy talent instantly shrouded the place where the innate eternal life is located, and the opponent's talent was detected, and the copy talent remembered the opponent's body. In the future, Yi Tian can completely replicate the body of this innate eternal life. In addition, the talent of this innate eternal life is indeed very powerful, and the whole body is full of eternal ancestors, which shows how awesome its talent is, and it is worthy of innate eternal life. Eternal Ancestor of Power. Speed Eternal Ancestor. Defend the Eternal Ancestor. Yi Tian has these eternal ancestors, so he doesn't care much, but there is a kind of eternal ancestors that Yi Tian does not have, and that is the eternal ancestors. This means that this innate eternal life has the ability to be immortal. Once it grows, it is difficult to kill. Of course, it has just been born. Although it is comparable to the Supreme, its strength is very weak, and it can still be easily killed. Unexpected. Tianshu Jizu locked Yi Tian. Dare to approach, court death. Tianshu Tribulation Ancestor took action. He stabbed with a spear in hand, but he did not strike with all his strength. In his opinion, Yi Tian is only a 3rd level Supreme 797 person, and he is not worthy of his full strength. Therefore, the power of his strike is only at the 7th level. However, this blow was blocked by Yi Tian with a single finger, and Yi Tian was not injured at all. Tianshu Jizu's expression changed. Without saying a word, he directly started with all his strength. He didn't want Yi Tian to destroy this action. Boom! The Tianshu Jizu shot with all his strength, the endless time and space collapsed, and the terrifying blow seemed to annihilate this endless territory. The distance is nothing to Tianshu Jizu. Unless Yi Tian escapes within the range of his perception, he will not be able to avoid this blow. This is the attack power belonging to the 9 realms. Yi Tian didn't keep his hand either, and directly stimulated the power of the fingers of the Eternal Realm, unleashing the combat power of the 9th layer Supreme. Immediately, a huge finger appeared in the void, as if it was above all the rules, directly descended in front of Tianshu Jizu, and pressed it down with one finger. Boom! Yi Tian collided with the attack of Tianshu Jizu, causing the tides of time and space, and even the Fungu River began to oscillate, and countless areas collapsed. CJFI Kaka Kaka. There were a lot of cracks in Yi Tian's body, which was the injury caused by the power urging the Eternal Realm's almighty finger, but he just looked a little ferocious, but the injury was actually not very serious. After all, his current endless eternal body has reached the Dacheng realm, and his cultivation base has also reached the realm of the Triple Supreme, so the price paid for urging the Eternal Realm's great finger will be lighter. But he is very clear, even so, he is still not the opponent of Tianshu Jizu. Even if Tianshu Jizu has cut off his cultivation, but with all kinds of treasures, his combat power can still reach the 9th level. Moreover, Tianshu Jizu was able to exert the combat power of the 9th level realm not only once, but again and again. Walk. Yi Tian doesn't want to continue fighting, he has already achieved his goal, there is no need to continue taking risks. Wow! Yi Tian escaped quickly, and the Heaven Ruins Tribulation Ancestor attacked again, but Yi Tian's second attack of the 9th level Supreme Person resisted and quickly left here. If Tianshu Jizu wanted to hunt down Yi Tian might not be able to escape. However, Tianshu Jizu did not dare to take risks. His current purpose is to bring the innate eternal life back to the eternal robbery domain, not to kill Yi Tian. He can see that Yi Tian has a finger of the eternal realm, and he doesn't know how to fuse that finger, and he can exert the power of the finger, which can break out the combat power of the Nine Realm. However, compared with the innate eternal life, the finger of the eternal realm power is much lower in value. Therefore, he will not risk the finger for the eternal realm. Immediately, he grabbed the innate eternal life that had just been born, and was about to leave Fengguhe. However, at this moment, the mutation protruded. A white palm came across time and space, and even the rules of Fengguhe could not limit the arrival of this hand. I saw that the rules of Fengguhe restricting the realm of the 6th level supreme and above were broken inch by inch, the entire chain of Fengguhe rules was broken, and the rules of the entire void were chaotic, and none of them could prevent the arrival of this hand. And when this hand came, the Eternal Tribulation Clan and the supreme beings of Fengguhe were all frozen, making it difficult to move at all. Even Tianshu Jizu is difficult to move. In front of this hand, he seems like an ant. Eternal Realm, Tianshu Jizu was not reconciled. Just one step away, if it wasn't for the moment Yi Tian stopped him, he might have left with the innate eternal life. Of course, perhaps that eternal realm has been hidden in the dark. In that case, he would not take away this innate eternal life no matter what. Why are you here to snatch the innate eternal life? Tianshu Jizu asked. Noisy. Accompanied by a clear female voice, a finger descended, and with just one finger, Tianshu Jizu was seriously injured and dying. The next moment, the innate eternal life disappeared. It has to be said that the loss of the Eternal Tribulation Clan is too heavy. Not only did he lose a large number of clansmen, but Tianshu Jizu cut himself to the ground, just for the innate eternal life, but he was robbed by a mysterious eternal realm at the critical moment. It can be said that the Eternal Tribulation Clan lost miserably. But the real winner is Yi Tian, except for the eternal realm. At this time, Yi Tian left the Wind Ancient River and returned to the Void Origin Hall. Afterwards, he opened the Void Origin Hall's first layered formation ban, which lifted the duplication of the body, and then duplicated the body of the innate eternal life. He didn't want to copy an innate eternal life by himself, but it would be too embarrassing to be snatched away by a powerhouse in the eternal realm. In the Void Origin Hall, a huge one-horned creature emerged, which was the innate eternal life replica body that Yi Tian condensed. Yi Tian existed with the body of innate eternal life, and immediately felt the extraordinariness of this body. Not to mention those eternal ancestors, the countless innate eternal rules contained in the body alone make Yi Tian comprehend the innate eternal rules all the time, and his progress in the eternal rules is improving at an incredible speed. Moreover, the body structure of the innate eternal life is completely worthy of Yi Tian's research. This is simply the innate eternal body. In the years to come, carefully study and comprehend this innate eternal life. Yi Tian muttered. Chapter 16:13 Yi Jinpeng enters supreme. Yi Tian retreated to comprehend the body of innate eternal life, and Fengguhe also underwent new changes. The Eternal Tribulation Clan failed to capture the innate eternal life, and if they continued to stay in the Wind Ancient River, they would lose even more. Moreover, Tianshu Jizu was seriously injured, so he cannot stay here, otherwise there is a danger of falling. As a result, the Eternal Tribulation Clan of the Wind Ancient River withdrew one by one, while the Fenggu Yuanzu regained control of the Wind Ancient River and turned the Wind Ancient River into a treasure land again. The formations arranged by the Eternal Tribulation Clan were destroyed one by one. As a result, there is no way for Fengguhe to transform into the Eternal Tribulation Domain. Supreme Eternal Tribulation Domain. The Tianshu Jizu came to the Natural Disaster Jizu, and said ashamedly, "The Natural Disaster Jizu, I failed." The Natural Disaster Robbery also knew the situation. Although he was very angry, he also knew that this matter could not be blamed on the Tianshu robbery. Moreover, Tianshu Jizu has already killed himself for this action, and if he were to punish him again, it would cause dissatisfaction among many members of the Eternal Tribulation Clan. Therefore, the Calamity Robbery ancestor said, "I can't blame you for this matter, you can go back and heal your wounds, this matter is forgotten." Never mind, other than that, what else can be done? Can they still be the enemy of Eternal Jingdang? The Eternal Tribulation Clan does not have an eternal realm, which is why the Eternal Tribulation Clan has never dared to go out. If there is an eternal realm, they do not need to be afraid of anything. Gradually, the matter of innate eternal life passed away. 3 robbery years have passed. At this time, the human race developed rapidly, and a large number of invincibles had been born, and Yi Jinpeng had cultivated to the realm of first-class invincibles. Moreover, Yi Tian's wife, children, and sister have all cultivated to the first-class invincible realm with her resource supply. Now, Yi Jinpeng is condensing the eternal robbery. Once the condensing is successful, Yi Tian is ready to give him the eternal source, the eternal soul wood, to help him reach the supreme realm. Compared to their progress, Yi Tian's progress was great. He fully comprehended the three robbery elements of the innate eternal life, during which the mastery of the eternal rules has surpassed many half-step eternal realms, and he has also created a half-step eternal skill. Not only that, but his perception on the eternal body has reached an incredible level. Without auxiliary resources, he abruptly raised the endless eternal body from the early stage of Dacheng to the peak of the middle stage of Dacheng. It can be said that his current strength is much stronger than before. It's time to hit the realm of the Four Supremes. Yi Tian muttered. He took out the source of immortality, and after drinking it in one gulp, he quickly hit the realm of the fourth-level Supreme Being, and he didn't feel any shackles during that time. In fact, even if he didn't take the immortal source heart liquid, he was afraid that he could easily break through, but in order to be more secure, he still used the immortal source heart liquid. The quadruple supreme is much stronger than the triple supreme, and the gap between the triple supreme and the double supreme is even greater. Especially for Yi Tian, his strength soared many times in an instant. Today, even if he does not rely on the fingers of the eternal realm, his conventional combat power can reach the level of the 7th level supreme. With the help of the fingers of the eternal realm, the combat power can soar to the top 9 realm, and it can be used more than 10 times. After dozens of times of great robbery, news came from Yi Jinpeng. Now, Yi Jinpeng has successfully condensed the eternal robbery, and can attack the realm of the supreme with an incomparably deep foundation. Ancestor. Yi Jinpeng came to Yi Tian and said respectfully. Yi Tian took out the eternal soul wood and handed it to Yi Jinpeng. This is Jinzu's eternal soul wood. I extracted Jinzu's memory and found it from a forbidden place. The source you absorbed before belongs to eternity. The origin of the soul wood, you can perfectly absorb its origin and hit the realm of the supreme, take it. 1. Thank you, ancestor. Yi Jinpeng said excitedly. Oh supreme. This is the realm he dreams of. Once he breaks through to this realm, he will belong to the top level in the Tianline realm, which is enough to be on a par with Tianfeng Yuanshan. Yi Jinpeng took the eternal soul wood and retreated in the Void Origin Hall to attack the realm of the Supreme Being. For him, this place is safer than Tianline realm. Time passed slowly. Yi Tian didn't pay attention to Yi Jinpeng's breakthrough, because it was 100% successful. If Yi Jinpeng could break through and fail like this, it would be too wasteful, enough to break the record. Finally, on this day, Yi Jinpeng made a successful breakthrough and entered the realm of the Supreme. After Yi Jinpeng broke through, the source of the dark forbidden area skyrocketed again. It's a breakthrough. If you cultivate another Supreme Person, the dark forbidden area should be able to become the eternal world. Yi Tian muttered. The next most promising breakthrough belongs to Yi Xingchen. Yi Tian is going to let Yi Xingchen fuse the power of the ancient star stone and let him condense the ancient star body. Even the incomplete ancient star body is fine. To this end, he needs to prepare countless precious resources to help Yi Xingchen grow, otherwise Yi Xingchen will not be able to comprehend the ancient stars at all, and it will be useless to cultivate billions of calamities. In order for Yi Xingchen to condense the ancient astral body smoothly, Yi Tian also refused an ancient astral body eternal ancestral gift and gave it to Yi Xingchen. Coupled with the provision of countless resources, Yi Xingchen has initially created an ancient star body that suits him, but the degree of incompleteness is relatively serious, but it is comparable to the lower eternity body. This is also the ultimate that Yi Tian can achieve. However, in Yi Tian's expectation, if Yi Xingchen wants to break through to the realm of the Supreme, it will take at least 100 robbery yuan time, which still requires the supply of countless resources, otherwise, it will require at least tens of thousands of robbery yuan or even more. Many. Regarding Yi Xingchen's cultivation plan, Yi Tian has arranged it. At other times, Yi Tian doesn't worry about it. Unconsciously, another 10 robbery times passed, and Yi Tian also raised his cultivation base to the peak state of the 4th level Supreme, and the next step was to hit the 5th level Supreme realm. Void Source has a kiss suitable for impacting the realm of 5 levels of nothingness. Yi Tian has never been willing to use it. After all, it is a waste to use it at the lower level. This treasure is Qingli Huiyanjing. Afterwards, Yi Tian used the azure glass fire crystal to make a breakthrough, and it was also very easy to break through to the realm of the 5th level Supreme. After breaking through to the realm of the 5th layer Supreme, Yi Tian's strength skyrocketed again. With his current strength, his conventional combat power is comparable to that of the weaker 8th layer Supreme. And he can completely use the fingers of the eternal realm. As long as the time is not long, the burden on the body will not be too great. At this time, Yi Tian can be completely equivalent to a real 9th level supreme. Chapter 16:14 The First Eternal Skill. It's time to completely resolve the matter in the ancient region of the stars. It's of little value to me. It's not worth it to let a clone sit there forever. Yi Tian muttered. After all, his regular combat power can reach the 9th level supreme, and the strength of the star ancestor is at this level. Although he is stronger than him, he is definitely not too strong. Therefore, star ancestor is of little value to him. Besides, Xingzu didn't have many treasures on his body, so he didn't continue to brush wool. On this day, Yi Tian's ancient star ancestor clone came to the ancient star pagoda. Shuchen, you are here. Xingzu saw Yi Tian coming and appeared. Xingzu, I'm here to say goodbye to you, Yi Tian said. When Xingzu heard Yi Tian's tone, his expression changed. Shuchen, what do you mean? Xingzu said coldly, we signed a contract with 797. 1. That's right, Yi Tian nodded, we did sign a contract, but what if this is a special clone? Special clone. Star ancestor's expression changed drastically. If the special avatar of Yi Tian was signed with him, then Yi Tian self-destructed this body, the contract would not be established, and there would be no way to restrain Yi Tian. Who are you? Star ancestor roared. He now finally understands why Yi Tian killed the 10 supreme beings, and why what he did was not conducive to the development of the ancient star clan at all. All the reasons are that Yi Tian is an outsider creature, who created this ancient star clan clone, and sent the clone to the ancient star region, where it has grown to this day. He hates it. Damn, why didn't I see that this is a clone? Xingzu regretted. If it is an ordinary clone, he must have seen it. But Yi Tian's clone is actually no different from the main body, so star ancestor can't see it. Xingzu, I told you the reason, and it can be considered that you have no doubts. I will seal this place, and your consciousness will not be able to break the seal. Moreover, I will take away most of the resources of the ancient star clan. Yi Tian said, Shu Chen, if I can go out, I will definitely kill you. Star ancestor growled, Xingzu, do you think you will be my opponent when you come out? Yi Tian sneered. Then, Yi Tian began to seal this space. He almost brought out all his understanding of the eternal rules, and set up an extremely complicated prohibition, even if the ancient star clan outside wanted to communicate with the star ancestors. After arranging the restriction, Yi Tian took away all the treasure houses that the ancient star clan had accumulated over the countless years in his own capacity, and also entered the forces of the ancient star clan, forcibly taking away the treasures in their treasure houses. Almost in a short period of time, the ancient star clan was completely sacked by Yi Tian, and the entire ancient star clan was in chaos. Afterwards, Yi Tian copied the body of a first-class invincible into the ancient star region, bringing back all the resources plundered by the ancient star clan clones. After that, Yi Tian directly annihilated this clone. The identity of Shu Chen will disappear completely. Inside the ancient star tower, Star Ancestor looked at the restriction sealed here, and felt deeply embarrassed. In addition to the fact that the power of the seal is not very strong, even he feels extremely difficult about the mysterious degree of the seal. Shu Chen's control of the eternal rules has been raised to such a level that it is absolutely comparable to the half-step eternal realm. Could it be that he is a clone of a half-step eternal realm? Star Ancestor was completely desperate. Ji Yu Xing clan could not save him, he was afraid that he would not be able to go out for eternity. The resources of the ancient star clan are quite good, but unfortunately they are of little use to me, let's develop it for the people. Yi Tian then sent these resources to the human race temple, and used them as resources for the development of the human race in the future. And his main task now is to help his son Yi Xingchen to attack the realm of the Supreme. Once Yi Xingchen breaks through, the dark forbidden area can evolve into the eternal world, and it can also become the real base of the human race. At that time, he can also return to the human race base camp and truly guard the human race. Moreover, with their own eternal world, the human race can truly rise. In addition, Yi Tian has another goal, which is to create an eternal skill. The truly top half-step eternal skill not only masters many half-step eternal skills, but also masters at least one eternal skill. Before, Yi Tian couldn't master the eternal skills, not only because of his low cultivation base, but more importantly, he didn't have a deep grasp of the eternal rules, and he didn't know enough about the eternal skills. But now, he comprehends the innate eternal rules in the body of the innate eternal life all the time, and the mastery of the eternal rules has reached an unimaginable level, so he hopes to create an eternal skill. This time, Yi Tian is going to start from the destruction intercept and create an eternal fingering technique. In order to create this fingering skill, Yi Tian doesn't care about time. Endless years pass by. 100 great tribulations. 1,000 great robbery. A robbery. 10 robbery yuan. It has to be said that it is indeed extremely difficult to create an eternal skill. Many half-step eternal realms spends 10,000 eons to create the eternal skill by chance, so Yi Tian naturally cannot create it easily. Finally, at the 56th robbery, Yi Tian created an eternal skill level fingering skill. He called this fingering technique the shattering finger, which means shattering everything. After the creation of this eternal skill, Yi Tian ushered in a transformation. It didn't take long for him to improve his cultivation to the pinnacle of the 5th level supreme, and he was only one step away from the 6th level supreme. Away. After some years passed, news came from his son Yi Xingchen. He is about to hit the supreme realm. Under Yi Tian's vigorous training and encouragement, Yi Xingchen was also a good candidate and did not let him down. He finally broke through to the pinnacle of the first-class invincible, and created a supreme skill that matched the ancient star body. Now, Yi Xingchen is preparing to condense the eternal robbery. Once the condensing is successful, he will be able to absorb the origin of the ancient star stone and impact the realm of the supreme. After Yi Tian bestowed a lot of eternal resources, Yi Xingchen succeeded in condensing the eternal robbery. Then, he began to absorb the origin of the ancient star stone to impact the supreme. Must be successful. Yi Xingchen calmed down and said. He is very aware of his potential, and without the help of his father, he is afraid that he will never be able to enter the realm of the supreme, let alone be promoted to the supreme with such a solid foundation. It's his luck, so, he couldn't let his father down. Time passed, and after a long time, Yi Xingchen's retreat space conveyed the breath of a supreme being. Yi Xingchen successfully broke through to the realm of the supreme. And the dark forbidden area also gave birth to 3 supreme beings, which are about to usher in transformation. Chapter 16:15 The forbidden area of darkness has finally become the eternal world. Dark forbidden area. The endless source energy of the source sea is poured into the dark forbidden area. At this time, the dark forbidden area expands as fast as a balloon, but it will not explode, as if it can expand infinitely. But the creatures in the dark forbidden area are lucky, they have also obtained great benefits, and their cultivation base has soared one by one. And the creatures in the dark forbidden area are almost all human races, and long ago when Yi Xingchen attacked the Supreme, the human race temple sent a message that all the human races in other exotic worlds must enter the dark forbidden area and enjoy this opportunity. Therefore, the dark forbidden area is densely populated by humans. With the continuous expansion of the dark forbidden area, the endless eternal continent was born, and endless resources are being nurtured. It takes a long time for the dark forbidden area to be promoted to the eternal world, and it takes about a big robbery. Of course, before the dark forbidden area is completely stabilized, the Supreme cannot enter the dark forbidden area. Moreover, even after stabilization, there will be a period of protection in eternal heaven and earth, that is, only local Supreme beings in eternal heaven and earth are allowed to enter, and outsiders are not allowed to enter. And this protection period is 100,000 robbery yuan, in order to prevent other supreme beings from entering the eternal world of Shin 29 to plunder resources. Because the new eternal heaven and earth will give birth to a lot of eternal resources, and even a lot of resources that allow the supremes to quickly improve their cultivation, which is why the 3 supremes in the T-Online realm are so much stronger than the other supremes. Reason. Because they occupied those precious resources produced at the beginning of T-Online realm's birth, their strength naturally improved quickly, and they were above other supreme beings. The dark forbidden area was promoted to the eternal world, and this matter could not be concealed. Yi Tian hid the dark forbidden area before, but now the formation has been broken with the promotion of the dark forbidden area, and it cannot be hidden anymore. Some invincibles in the nearby exotic worlds immediately sensed the promotion of the dark forbidden area, so the news was quickly passed to the T-Online world, which was not very far from the dark forbidden area. Immediately, a supreme person from the T-Online realm rushed to the dark forbidden area. Even the 3 supreme beings of the T-Online realm came. T-Online Yuanzu, Chuya Yuanzu, Jianeng Yuanzu. These 3 supreme beings are the well-deserved 3 supreme beings in the T-Online world. Among them, T-Online Yuanzu is the 6th level supreme, Chuya Yuanzu and Jianeng Yuanzu are the 5th level supreme, and their strength is completely smashing other supreme beings. You can kill ordinary supreme beings with only one hand. Which alien world is this? Tianlin Yuanzhu wondered. Why didn't he just retreat a little longer? Why was there an eternal world suddenly born nearby? Lord Tianlin Yuanzhu, this should be the forbidden area of darkness, belonging to the Endless Ancestor. Tianfeng Yuanshan said. The Endless Ancestor is also the name of Yi Tian today. After he became the Supreme, he was ready to use the title of the Endless Ancestor. Endless Ancestor. Tianlin Yuanzhu had never heard of this title, but he really wanted to know it. Tianfeng Yuanshan, can you contact the Endless Ancestor? Chuya Yuanshan asked. Can. Tianfeng Yuanshan contacted Yi Tian immediately. In fact, Yi Tian has been secretly paying attention to the situation in the Dark Forbidden Area. After receiving the message from Tianfeng Yuanshan, he came out immediately. Wow! Yi Tian walked out of the void and looked at the many supreme beings in the Tianlin realm. In the past, he could be regarded as belonging to the Tianlin realm, but now he belongs to the eternal world of the Dark Forbidden Realm. Supreme 5. Tianfeng Yuanshan's eyes widened, and he couldn't believe it. How long has he not seen Yi Tian? Yi Tian has been promoted to this realm. How difficult is it to improve the realm of the Supreme Being, which one is not timed by countless robbers, and even staying in a certain realm for eternity cannot break through. However, Yi Tian has been promoted to the 5th level peak Supreme Person without a sound, and I am afraid that there will be hope to be promoted to the 6th level Supreme Person in the near future. Tianlin Yuanzhu looked at Yi Tian and felt a fatal threat. Under his perception, Yi Tian is very powerful, even stronger than him. Impossible, he is only a 5th level Supreme, how can he be stronger than me? It should be an illusion. Tianlin Yuanzhu secretly said in his heart. However, he would not underestimate Yi Tian, and greeted very politely, I have seen the Endless Ancestor. Your Excellency is. Yi Tian didn't know what to call him, but luckily, Tianfeng Yuanshan introduced him to Yi Tian and let Yi Tian know the name of Tianlin Yuanzhu. I have seen Tianlin Yuanzhu. Yi Tian said politely. Tianlin Yuanzhu smiled and said, the Endless Ancestor, our two eternal worlds are relatively close, and we can cooperate more in the future. That's natural. Yi Tian nodded slightly. Immediately, the two chatted. Of course, Tianlin Yuanzhu didn't stay here for a long time, he just came to have a look and confirm the situation here by the way. He also doesn't want to be the enemy of Yi Tian, there is no benefit. Fortunately, he did not have such an idea, otherwise he would be very desperate. Before you know it, a great calamity time has passed. At this time, the Dark Forbidden Area has completely turned into an eternal world. And Yi Tian's family members returned to the Dark Forbidden Area one by one. Although Yi Tian's body did not return, the cloned body did. Yi Xingchen and Yi Jinpeng have returned, and some of the invincibles of the human race in Tianlin realm have also returned to the eternal world. Even some invincibles who have joined Tianfenghai have not been retained. Don't dare to stay. Not long after the Dark Forbidden Realm was promoted to Eternal World, the entire human race was still a little chaotic. As a result, the top 797s of the human race are dividing the area and managing the human race separately, and many human races have obtained a lot of fiefs. Moreover, the human race encourages the establishment of forces one by one, and manages many regions with each force, otherwise, it is simply impossible to manage it by relying on the management of the human race temple. It took dozens of great robbery time, and the Dark Forbidden Area was completely stabilized. After that, Yi Tian personally established countless teleportation formations for the human race, otherwise the general teleportation formations could not be teleported in the eternal heaven and earth at all, and the eternal heaven and earth were really too big, unless they reached the ancestors, they would not be able to fly too far. When the Dark Forbidden Area stabilized, Yi Tian didn't need to worry about it. After that, he began to collect various rare resources in the Dark Forbidden Area. His countless incarnations are scattered all over the Dark Forbidden Area, and whenever important resources are born, they will be taken away by him. Most of the resources are of no use to him, but they can exist in the temple, and a small part is used by Yi Jinpeng and Yi Xingchen, who have just been promoted to the realm of the first level supreme. They are in desperate need of these resources, and Yi Jinpeng and Yi Xingchen have stopped cultivating, and are looking for resources suitable for the supreme beings to use. It can be said that this era is their best era and also their chance. In this way, the Forbidden Area of Darkness ushered in the era of rapid development of the human race, and countless invincibles were born. Chapter 16:16 Conventional Combat Power, Top 8 Supremes. In a flash, thousands of robbery times have passed in the Dark Forbidden Area. At this time, the human race gave birth to many strong invincibles. There are many third-class invincibles, but second-class invincibles are still relatively rare. And after thousands of robbery time, Yi Tian not only cultivated to reach the pinnacle of the 5th level peak supreme, but also created an eternal skill called Shattering Void Sword, which integrates various eternal rules. The door is an incomparably powerful eternal skill, and it is much more powerful than the Destruction Finger. Strictly speaking, the Destruction Finger is a finger to urge the Eternal Realm great power, but it is actually not very powerful, and the Void Shattering Sword is the eternal skill created by Yi Tian for the conventional combat power. He originally wanted to create an eternal skill of defense or speed, but he felt that he didn't need it much at the moment. With the endless eternal body, his life-saving level far exceeds that of other supreme beings, so he does not need defensive eternal skills to save his life, and speed eternal skills are not very necessary, at least not as important as attacking eternal skills. It's time to hit the 6th supreme. I've stayed in the 5th supreme for too long. Yi Tian muttered. He now has a high degree of confidence in attacking the 6th level supreme, so he did not collect resources to assist in the breakthrough. Subsequently, he directly chose to shock. After a long time, Yi Tian successfully broke the shackles and was promoted to the realm of the 6th level supreme, and his strength skyrocketed again. After the 6th level supreme, it is really difficult to break through a realm in the future. It is often not determined by talent. Unless it is innate eternal life, it is difficult to break the shackles. It takes a long time and many only resources can break the bottleneck. For example, Tianlin Yuanzu, who has passed through thousands of calamities, has yet to break through to the realm of the 7th level supreme being. Among the countless eternal heavens and earths in the Source Sea, there are many supreme beings below the 6th level supreme, but the number of the 7th level supreme and above is very rare. Any one of the 7th level supreme, its status is incomparably high, and almost belongs to the top existence in the Source Sea. After Yi Tian became the 6th level supreme, he also knew that he would not be able to reach the 7th level supreme realm in a short period of time, and it would be very difficult. However, he still needs to prepare for the future breakthrough to the 7th level supreme. This day, he came to the Yuanshan Pavilion as usual, and the transaction of the Yuanshan Pavilion brought him a lot of benefits. Often if there was a lack of treasures, he could come here to trade without spending a long time searching for something. Unexpected, the 12 ancestors of the Yuanshan Pavilion announced a message that the Yuanshan Pavilion would invite a member of the inner circle. In addition to the 12 ancestors, there are 108 inner members below the Yuanshan Pavilion, and besides the inner members, there are a large number of outer members. Peripheral members have no restrictions and can trade freely, but many benefits cannot be obtained. The inner circle members can not only get the guidance of the 12 ancestors, but also some special treatment and benefits, so everyone wants to be an inner circle member. However, the inner members are almost fixed, and the number of 108 inner members will not change. Unless other inner members have fallen, one will be invited among the outer members. Of course, if you want to become an inner member, you still need to conduct an assessment. After the assessment is successful, you will become a real inner member. Master, I suggest that you become a member of the inner circle of the Yuanshan Pavilion. The 12 patriarchs know many secrets, and some resources are only known to the 12 patriarchs. The previous owner was invited to be one of the inner circle members. In the God Pavilion, in addition to the 12 ancestors, there are also some half-step Eternal Realm members in the inner circle, but they are very low-key. Artifact suggested. Then give it a try. Yi Tian nodded. Subsequently, Yi Tian applied for the assessment of the inner members. He feels that with his current strength, he should be enough to serve as an inner member of the Yuanshan Pavilion, right? Source God Pavilion. After Yi Tian's application was approved, he immediately entered an assessment area. Wow, an 8th level supreme person appeared in front of Yi Tian. This is a member of the inner circle of the Yuanshan Pavilion. 6th layer supreme. When the other party saw Yi Tian's cultivation realm, he was a little surprised. Would a mere 6th level supreme person dare to apply to become an inner member of the Yuanshan Pavilion? The top members of the Yuanshan Pavilion are half-step Eternal Realm, most of them are 9th level supreme, a few are 8th level supreme, and only a few are 7th level supreme. And there is almost no precedent for the 6th supreme being to become a member of the inner circle. Endless Ancestor, your assessment is to hold on for a minute under my attack. If you succeed, you will enter the waiting list. The 12 ancestors will choose according to the battle situation of you applicants, and it depends on whether you can choose or not. Luck. After the other party finished speaking, he added, by the way, my name is Ancestor Wu Yuan. Ancestor without origin, let's do it. Yi Tian said lightly. Boom, the two fought. Wu Yuan ancestor is good at boxing skills. Every punch is a terrifying attack, and the void of the Yuanshan pavilion trembles. In Yi Tian's eyes, ancestor Wu Yuan belongs to a very powerful 8th layer supreme, but he is not considered to be the top 8 layer supreme, just because ancestor Wu Yuan can't even have a half-step eternal skill, but many supreme skills are extremely skilled, and they can do whatever they want. Shattered Void Sword. Yi Tian held the top-level Source Long Sword, and the sword tore through the endless rules and landed on the Wu Yuan ancestor. Boom, the two were evenly divided. No, it should be considered that Yi Tian has the upper hand. At this moment, a sword mark appeared on Wu Yuan ancestor's body, which could not be dissipated. How is it possible that you have created an eternal skill? Moreover, you are only a 6th level supreme, and your combat power is comparable to the top 8th level supreme. Ancestor Wu Yuan was shocked. Jiao Nuo Jiao. Yi Tian was not surprised at all. When he was a 5th level supreme, his regular combat power was comparable to the weaker 8th level supreme. Today, his cultivation base has been upgraded to the realm of the 6th level supreme, and his combat power is naturally terrifying, almost comparable to the Tianshu Jizu after his cultivation base. It's just that Tianshu Jizu has all kinds of powerful secret treasure weapons, but he doesn't have it, so the conventional combat power is still not comparable to the 9 supremes. However, once you use the powerful fingers of the eternal realm, it is afraid that it is enough to play a blow that is comparable to the weaker half-step eternal. Ancestor without origin, do you still need to fight? Yi Tian asked. Of course, I need to test your strength. This is also the rule set by the 12 patriarchs. Ancestral path without origin. Boom, blame. The two continue to fight. Yi Tian's strength is indeed much stronger than Wu Yuan ancestor, and has always suppressed Wu Yuan ancestor. Chapter 16-17 The Original C. A minute has passed. Yi Tian and Wu Yuan ancestor both stopped. The result is obvious. Yi Tian passed the assessment. Of course, whether he can be selected depends on the choice of the 12 patriarchs. Endless ancestor, your strength is really powerful, far beyond my imagination. I believe that the 12 ancestors will definitely choose you as a member of the inner circle. Ancestor Wu Yuan said in a positive tone. Hope it. Yi Tian smiled slightly, and didn't worry about anything. Even if he couldn't enter the Yuanshan pavilion this time, it wouldn't be a big deal. Before long, the assessment of all applicants was over. And the battles of every applicant who passed the application were all watched by the 12 ancestors. When they saw the battle scene between Yi Tian and the Wu Yuan ancestor, they were all shocked. They all understand the strength of the Wu Yuan ancestor, but the 6th layer supreme can suppress the Wu Yuan ancestor. How is this possible? Unless it is a half-step eternal realm powerhouse who has cultivated himself, he has such a combat power. But obviously, Yi Tian is not such a half-step eternal realm powerhouse, otherwise, the ancestor of Wu Yuan should be able to see it. Wow, ancestor Wu Yuan was summoned by the 12 ancestors. Feng Jiyu Yuanzu asked 797, how do you feel about the Wu Yuan ancestor, the endless ancestor? Ancestor Wu Yuan pondered for a moment, and then said, the endless ancestor is very evil, not only created the eternal skill, but he should condense the eternal body, and at least the upper eternal body. Moreover, his foundation is extremely stable, right? The understanding of eternal rules also surpasses the general half-step eternal powerhouse. 1. The story of the ancestor without origin is similar to the guess of the 12 ancestors. After ancestor Wu Yuan left, the 12 ancestors made a decision in their hearts. This 6th level supreme person called Endless Ancestor has potential to surpass me. I suggest that he be recruited into the ranks of the inner members of the Yuanshan Pavilion. Naturally, to absorb it, we must be fair, he is indeed extremely good and qualified to be one of the inner members. Then choose him. The 12 ancestors passed unanimously and chose Yi Tian to become a member of the inner circle of the Yuanshan Pavilion. Source God Pavilion. In the misty void, black thrones appeared one after another, and each throne was seated by one person, and the members of the Yuanshan Pavilion were sitting on these black thrones. 12 of them are golden thrones, and the 12 patriarchs are seated. At this time, there was an empty seat on a throne, but soon a figure emerged and sat on this throne. The person who came was Yi Tian. Welcome new members. Welcome new members. Welcome new members. Beginning with the 12 patriarchs, members of the inner circle welcome them. See you all. Yi Tian also said hello. At this time, Feng Jiyu Yuanzu threw a group of information. Endless Ancestor, these are some information about the members of the inner circle, you will understand after you absorb it. Yi Tian nodded, grabbed the information of this group, and quickly learned some things about the members of the inner circle. For example, the members of the Yuanshan Pavilion hold the birthplace of some special resources, and now Yi Tian also knows about it. The most important thing is that the members of the Yuanshan Pavilion can go to the original sea. The primordial sea is a special treasure, the place where the source sea was born, and any drop of seawater there is the condensation of the endless source energy of the source sea. However, the primordial sea is located in the depths of a special source sea, and if there is no special guidance, the primordial sea cannot be found at all. Because of this, ordinary supreme beings do not know the existence of the primordial sea at all, and have not even heard of it. Only some powerful forces know the primordial sea, and the Yuanshan Pavilion has a way to enter the primordial sea, and every member of the inner circle can enter the primordial sea. For example, this time, Yi Tian had just become a member of the inner circle of the Yuanshan Pavilion, and the Yuanshan Pavilion was about to enter the primordial sea. At the meeting, Junhe Jianzhu said, "This time the source tide of the original CJFI sea is about to start, which is the best opportunity to enter the original sea, but after entering the original sea, I can't bless you, the possibility of falling is relatively high. If you don't want to go, if you want it, you don't have to go. Once we come out of the original sea, we will have a private trade meeting with each other, and everyone will trade the treasure resources they need with each other." "Jianzhu Junhe, I won't go this time," an 8th-level supreme person said. Those 7 supremes also immediately announced that they would not enter the primordial sea, obviously they had little confidence in themselves. "Endless Ancestor, do you want to go?" Junhe Jianzhu looked at Yi Tian, "Your potential is very high, I suggest that you don't have to go this time, you can go next time." 1. "Jianzhu Junhe, I'll go," Yi Tian said. "I have a special clone, this time I entered the primordial sea with the clone, and it's not a big loss if I fall." Special avatar. When many supreme people heard this, they were immediately envious. The stronger the path of cultivation, the more difficult it is to have a special avatar, and many avatars have limited potential and cannot become supreme at all. Therefore, it is simply too difficult to have such a powerful avatar. Basically, the stronger the cultivation base, the fewer strong people have clones. Special clone. When Junhe Jianzhu heard this, he stopped persuading Yi Tian. With a special clone, Yi Tian is not afraid of falling at all, so he will naturally go to Yuanshui to try his luck. This time, there were a total of 9 supreme beings who were unwilling to go to the primordial sea, and all the other supreme beings went. This time, it is not only the first time to enter the original sea, but Wusheng joined the ranks of the Yuanshan Pavilion, and has never been to the original sea before, but Junhe Jianzhu and the others went to the specific situation of the original sea. For example, after entering the primordial sea, you must leave before the end of the source tide, otherwise you will be trapped in the primordial sea and 100% will fall. So far, no one has been able to survive after being trapped in the primordial sea. Because the special clone of the half-step eternal realm powerhouse has been tested and cannot survive, once the source tide ends, the primordial sea will release a terrifying black mist, which will swallow the half-step eternal realm. Therefore, one must leave before the end of the source tide. The second point is that there are many treasures born in the primordial sea. Among them, the eternal source is just an ordinary one. There are eternal resources everywhere, and there are many resources that help the 6th level, 7th level and even 8th level breakthroughs. Also, there are plenty of resources out there to enhance the eternal. Not only that, Yuan Chui also has some treasures that make half-step eternal realm crazy. The 12 patriarchs made a list of treasures and gave them to each member, lest some people miss the treasures because they don't know the treasures, that would be a pity. Chapter 16-18 Entering the Original Sea, Amazing Harvest. Yi Tian also received the list of treasures passed down by the 12 ancestors, many of which he had never heard of before, and there was even a treasure that could force the 9-layer supreme being to ascend to the half-step eternal realm. This treasure is nothingness, but Yi Tian knew very well that such treasures must be extremely rare, even in the primordial ocean, they may not exist, but there is a very low probability. Moreover, once it is really born, I am afraid that a group of top half-step eternal realm will snatch it, and it will not be the 9th level, supreme person to snatch it. If the supreme being of the 9 layers could be easily obtained, the original star ancestor would not have been trapped in the realm of the supreme being of the 9 layers for endless years, and was eventually suppressed by others. Shortly after, the 12 ancestors took the many inner members of the Yuanshan Pavilion to the primordial sea, and everyone kept on shuttle, and finally came to the Yuanai area. There seems to be nothing here, as if nothing special like anywhere else. But soon, there was a high-ranking person here, and the lowest cultivation base was basically the 7th level supreme, and most of them were the 9th level supreme and half-step eternal realm. Yi Tian is very inconspicuous here, but his strength is definitely not weak, and he is in the middle level. Time passed slowly, and many supreme beings in half-step eternal realm waited here slowly, without any rush or impatience. Unexpected, this area began to rippling. Yi Tian has a deep understanding of the eternal rules, so he senses the ups and downs of time and space here, as if there is a special origin transmitted from the unknown depths of time and space to the sea of origin. However, he was unable to reach that special time and space, and there was no trace to be found. Sure enough, there is no special method. I can't find Yuanshui at all. Even if I come here, I have no way to enter. Yi Tian murmured. The source tide has begun. One by one, half-step eternal realm opened the mouth. On the side of Yuanshan Pavilion, the 12 ancestors moved. I saw that the 12 ancestors took out a leaf, and each leaf was full of special power. Come up, the 12 patriarch reminded. Whoa whoa whoa. A supreme person came to the leaf, and Yi Tian also stood on the leaf at the foot of Fenggu Yuanzu. Then, these leaves ignored the void of the source sea and entered into this special time and space along the source tide. I saw that the surrounding time and space were constantly distorted, and the leaves carried Yi Tian to keep advancing. At this time, Fenggu Yuanzu introduced, this leaf is not an ordinary leaf, but a primordial leaf of a strange thing in the source sea. It has no other function. Its only use is to carry the supreme being into the primordial sea, and the number is very limited. Only in the hands of a few top powers. Without the original leaves, even the top half-step eternal realm cannot enter the original sea. Primary leaf. Yi Tian understood what was going on. Soon, they reached the original sea. The position of each primordial leaf entering the primordial sea is different. After all, Fenggu Yuanzu and the others have no way to control the direction, and it is not bad to be able to enter the primordial sea. The original sea. Fenggu Yuanzu, Yi Tian and others came here, on a small island, surrounded by a golden ocean, all of which are condensed to the ultimate source. Moreover, the suppression here is very strong, and the general supreme person simply cannot bear the suppression force here. Let's separate. You need the original leaves to enter the original sea, but you don't need to go out. You can fly out along the tide of the original source. Fenggu Yuanzu reminded. Yi Tian said that he understands that the sky is the source of the tide, and the source is constantly flowing out of time and space, and you can go out by flying out there. The supreme being or the half-step eternal realm who entered here needs to pay attention to the dynamics of the source tide all the time. Once the source tide shows signs of dissipating, they must rush out as soon as possible, otherwise they will be easily trapped. Whoa whoa whoa. A person of the highest name scattered, shuttled towards the distance. Fenggu Yuanzu also left, and did not bring any supreme person. He brought Yi Tian and the others into the primordial sea, which is already very good. Naturally he will not continue to care about them. Yi Tian chose a direction at random and began to slowly search for resources. There are no creatures in the original sea, but it does not mean that there is no danger, but it is very dangerous. If the strength is not good, it is easy to fall. One danger is from other supreme beings or even the half-step eternal realm. If an 8th-level supreme person finds a lot of treasures, and a half-step eternal realm sees it, maybe he will kill the 8th-level supreme being, so it will not be possible. There are plenty of resources to look for. How good is this? Ask for flowers. There is also a danger, that is, there will be black mist left in some places in the original sea, and once those places are touched, it will cause black mist erosion. These black mists will not spread during the original tide, but once they touch it, even half-step eternal realm will be seriously injured, and it is almost impossible for the 8th-level supreme person to save his life. It is precisely because of this that the danger of the original sea is so terrifying that many supreme people dare not come in at all. I have to say that Yuanshui has too many resources. Soon, Yi Tian found a lot of good things. An eternal source. Yi Tian saw a stone and placed it on the mountain of an island, and the breath emanating from this stone was the source of eternity. It is like an ordinary stone. If its breath is not too obvious, Yi Tian can't believe it. Wow, Yi Tian put away this stone and was in a very good mood. After all, you can pick up an eternal source easily, luck is really good. But then, Yi found the second item, Hengyuan artifact, but found the one that could improve the cultivation of the supreme being. According to the progress of this kind of harvest, even if Yi Tian did not find any amazing treasures, it would not be in vain. No wonder everyone wants to be an inner member of the Yuanshan Pavilion. This chance alone is enough to drive some daring supreme beings crazy. Yi Tian muttered. Time passed slowly, Yi Tian gained more and more. On this day, he finally encountered another supreme being, not the supreme being of the Yuanshan pavilion, but from other forces. The cultivation base of this supreme being is the 8th heaven. After seeing Yi Tian, his eyes showed excitement. He shot directly at Yi Tian, obviously wanting to kill Yi Tian and seize the treasure on Yi Tian. Yi Tian is not polite to such a supreme person. Broken fingers. Yi Tian used this eternal skill and directly mobilized the fingers of the eternal realm. Although he did not release the strongest blow with all his strength, he also struck an attack power comparable to the top 9 layer supreme. Boom! A finger that was enough to annihilate everything directly smashed the opponent's layers of defenses, pressed it on the opponent's body, and directly crushed the opponent's body. Chapter 16-19 This is not a black fog, but a black fog bug. Although the body of the 8th layer supreme was shattered by Yi Tian's finger, it was not killed in seconds. After all, the strength of this 8th level supreme being is also very strong. Even a top 9th level supreme being can't kill a peak 8th level supreme being in one blow, but this 8th level supreme being was still severely injured. Shattered Void Sword. Yi Tian immediately used an eternal skill. Although he did not have the power to move the fingers of the eternal realm, his regular combat power also reached the top 8 layer supreme level. In addition, this 8 layer supreme person has not much fighting power left, and is not Yi Tian's opponent at all. Soon, the 8th layer supreme was beheaded by Yi Tian. This man has found a lot of good things. After Yi Tian probed the opponent's void ball, he couldn't help saying excitedly. Killing an 8th level supreme person is much more refreshing than slowly searching for resources. 797, of course, he wouldn't deliberately seek out other supreme beings to kill. As long as they didn't provoke him, he wouldn't take action either. The other half-step eternal realm powerhouses hunted and killed, and then all their gains would be attributed to others. Just like this 8th level supreme person, he thought he could hunt others, but he died in the hands of Yi Tian. In the days that followed, Yi Tian was more careful. After all, this time it was only an 8th level supreme person. If he encountered a half-step eternal realm, he would not be a half-step eternal realm opponent. Therefore, Yi Tian is always turning on his copying talent. In a place like Yuanshui, copying talent is more useful than perception. Once he detects that there is a half-step eternal realm approaching, he will flee as soon as possible. Only in this way can he guarantee his own safety. After a period of time, once Yi Tian probed into the half-step eternal realm, he left at the fastest speed to avoid encountering the half-step eternal realm, so he did not encounter any danger. And some supreme beings, after gaining some benefits, resisted the temptation and chose to leave the primordial sea immediately, lest they would perish here, then there would be nothing left. However, most supreme beings cannot control this temptation, they all want to obtain more treasures, and even if it is dangerous, they are unwilling to leave. With the passage of time, a supreme being fell into the primordial sea. Most of the fallen supremes died at the hands of other powerhouses. Only a few supremes accidentally touched the black fog and fell to the ground. In the dark fog. And on this day, Yi Tian finally encountered the black mist. This is the Yuanqing Eternal Stone, and there is such a large piece. Yi Tian passed by a small island and saw the Yuanqing Eternal Stone, and was immediately surprised. Yuanqing Eternal Stone is a very precious resource. It can be extracted into Yuanqing Eternal Liquid, which can help the eternal body to grow, and is the top eternal body auxiliary cultivation resource. Yi Tian flew down, ready to take away the Yuanqing Eternal Stone. However, he found that the Yuanqing Eternal Stone was connected to this island and had to be cut off before the Yuanqing Eternal Stone could be taken away. So, he slashed at the root of Yuanqing Eternal Stone with one blow, directly separating it from the earth. Boom! The Yuanqing Eternal Stone was cut off and left the island. But the next second, he was shocked. From the place where Yuanqing Eternal Stone and the earth are connected, there is a small space, and at this moment, countless black mists permeate from the small space. The speed of these black mists is too fast, a little faster than Yi Tian's speed. Retreat! Yi Tian wanted to escape, but one arm was eroded by the black mist. At the moment when the body was about to be eroded by the black mist, Yi Tian's fingers of the eternal realm suddenly felt the threat, because the black mist also wanted to erode the fingers of the eternal realm, touched the seal on the finger, and directly triggered the power of eternity. Boom! The black fog was shaken away, and although Yi Tian was also attacked by the power of the fingers of the eternal realm, he saved his life and exited this area in time. The black mist cannot spread infinitely, it can only spread on this island, so Yi Tian doesn't have to worry. He stood outside the island, looking at the black fog, and was extremely shocked. Fortunately, it's me. If I replace it with other supreme beings, I'm afraid it will be dead, the erosion rate is too fast. Yi Tian muttered. Unexpected. His expression changed, and his gaze towards the black mist became suspicious. Yi Tian found that this was not a real black mist at all, but a black mist composed of countless black mist insects. The so-called erosion means that the body has been invaded by black mist insects and swallowed by black mist insects. Each black mist worm is very small, and it shields the detection of perception and consciousness. The consciousness of the Supreme One will be swallowed up when entering these black mists. Therefore, even half-step eternal realm may not necessarily know what the black mist is. It's terrifyingly terrifying. But Yi Tian's copying talent has detected these black mist talents, and the endless talents cover Yi Tian's data panel, all of which are the talents of black mist insects. Species: black mist bug. Strength: eternal ancestors. Speed: eternal ancestors. Defense: eternal ancestors. Devour: eternal ancestors. Immortal: eternal ancestors. The talents of these black mist insects are very luxurious, the key is that the number is too terrifying. Suddenly, Yi Tian laughed out loud. So many eternal ancestors, I copy one by one, even if it takes a little longer, but once the countless eternal ancestors are combined, will it surpass the eternal ancestors? When I think of this, I get excited. Looking for resources. No, he can't see it now. For him, the talent of these black mist insects is the biggest opportunity. Copy, 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 copy. In order to speed up the copying, every time he copied an eternal ancestor, he used time to speed up the time needed for the copying. In this way, Yi Tian did not take too long to copy all the talents contained in so many black mist worms. But, if you want to integrate, it will take too long to 5.8. Therefore, Yi Tian did not integrate these talents, and after he went out, he would slowly integrate it. He now has an idea, that is, to annihilate the avatar of the outside world, then he can give a body as an avatar again. So, he prepared to copy the body of the black mist insect. In this way, even if the source tide has passed, he can keep the clone of the black mist bug in the primordial sea. Outside world: Yi Tian's clone self-annihilation. Afterwards, the cloned body in Yuanshui can use the ability to clone and start to clone a black mist insect. Wow, copy was successful. A black mist worm appeared in Yi Tian's hand. Its size was too small, tens of thousands of times smaller than an ant. Immediately, Yi Tian's black mist clone flew to the island and mixed with other black mist insects. Chapter 1620 Immortal Ancestors. It's done. Yi Tian was very excited. The black mist insect clone has been staying in the original sea, who can have such treatment? Suddenly, Yi Tian thought of a problem, that is, if the black mist insect clone is too weak, it would be useless in Yuanshui. Moreover, once the original tide of the primordial sea is over, he cannot enter here, and the black mist worm cannot leave, and in fact, he cannot obtain too many benefits. The only gain is that he copied a large number of eternal ancestors. Now, he faces two choices. The first choice is to continue to stay here, without waiting to go out and then integrate the eternal ancestors, and start the integration directly here. The second option is to wait until you go out and then integrate these eternal ancestors, and seize the time to find resources and treasures. After thinking for a while, Yi Tian decided to choose the first one. He is going to fuse it here, fuse the talents above the eternal ancestors at the fastest speed, and then give it to the black mist insect clone, so that the black mist insect clone will rise completely and become the king of the black mist insect. In that case, the clone of the black mist insect can naturally collect more good things in the place where the original sea has an overlord, and the next time you come in, you can harvest 29 countless resources. Moreover, he is also very curious, what is the talent above the eternal ancestors? Start fusion. Yi Tian arranged a large formation of time acceleration around him, starting with devouring the eternal ancestors. One door swallowed the eternal ancestors and merged, but the fusion speed was relatively slow, and it was even a bit laborious. After all, the level of copying talent was not too high, so it was naturally very difficult to integrate the eternal ancestors. But in the end, one door swallowed the eternal ancestors and merged together. Period. There were supreme beings passing by, but Yi Tian disappeared. As soon as these supreme beings sensed the black mist on the island, they were so frightened that they fled immediately, not daring to investigate carefully. Therefore, Yi Tian has not been discovered so far. Time passes slowly. Yi Tian doesn't know how long it has passed, but he has been in the time acceleration formation for a long time, and he has also integrated a lot of eternal ancestors. Gradually, the power after the fusion of swallowing the eternal ancestors became stronger and stronger, as if it would lead to qualitative changes at any time. Finally, on this day, devouring the eternal ancestors has completely transformed. Devouring. Immortal Ancestor Fu. This is a talent level above the eternal ancestors, and it is also the first immortal ancestors owned by Yi Tian. Immortal ancestral talent is almost at the same level as copy talent, and Yi Tian also clearly felt that immortal ancestral talent can no longer be upgraded, at least today's copy talent can no longer be integrated with immortal ancestral talent. Immediately, Yi Tian deprived the immortal ancestral gift to the Black Mist insect clone, so the Black Mist insect clone also has the immortal ancestral gift. In the following days, Yi Tian merged the other eternal ancestors one by one. In this way, the power immortal ancestors, defense immortal ancestors, speed immortal ancestors, and immortal ancestors were born one by one, and they were all bestowed by Yi Tian to the Black Mist insect clone. Gathering these immortal ancestors, the Black Mist insect clone finally underwent a qualitative change. Boom! The clone of the Black Mist worm ushered in a transformation. Not only did its size begin to soar, but its strength also soared rapidly, as if it had broken a certain boundary. After all, in the primordial sea, the Black Mist insect is subject to certain restrictions. If it is in the outside world, it is impossible for such a small creature to threaten the supreme being of the 9 layers. However, the primordial sea exists, and it must be the rules of the primordial sea that restrict the black fog bugs. But now, Yi Tian is equivalent to breaking this restriction. In a short time, the size of the Black Mist insect was comparable to the size of a black beetle, and it was too conspicuous among the countless Black Mist insects. Moreover, Yi Tian clearly felt that the Black Mist insect clone could lead other Black Mist insects, like a king. In terms of cultivation realm, the Black Mist worm clone is roughly equivalent to the 6th level supreme, and can lead countless Black Mist worms, and the threat is comparable to the powerful half-step eternal realm. Moreover, the Black Mist clone can leave the island and is no longer restricted. Shortly after, Yi Tian found that the source tide was coming to an end. It's time to leave, otherwise this cloned body won't be able to go back, and those talents won't be taken away. Yi Tian muttered. Wow! He flew to the void and left the primordial sea along the source tide. Shortly after, Yi Tian returned to the source sea, and then carefully tried to sense the position of the original sea, but he couldn't get in if he could sense it. This time, Yi Tian's harvest is not very big, it is definitely incomparable with those half-step eternal realm, but he has obtained some immortal ancestors, this is the biggest harvest. Yi Tian took a look, and the 12 ancestors and other supremes of the Source God Pavilion also came out. Soon, the Supreme Man of the Yuanshan Pavilion returned to the Yuanshan Pavilion. Yuanshan Pavilion internal meeting. A supreme person sat in his place, and Yi Tian was also here. But soon, he found that many supreme people did not return. Time passed slowly until the source tide completely disappeared. At the same time, Yi Tian's Black Mist clone found that the restriction of the primordial sea had completely disappeared, and countless Black Mist insects flew out, spreading all over the primordial sea. The remaining 797 Supremes have not returned, and even if they are still alive, they must be swallowed up by the Black Mist at this moment. This time we have lost 17 members of the Inner Circle. Junhee Jianzhu announced. 37 members of the Inner Circle, and these Supreme Beings who have fallen are at least in the 8th Heaven realm. The 8th Heaven Supreme Being, what a powerful realm this is, and it has fallen so much in one fell swoop. Let's start trading, Feng Gu Yuanzhu said. Other Supremes immediately took out the resources they did not need and wanted to exchange resources with other Supremes. And Yi Tian also took out some resources, mainly to exchange the resources that he needed to help the eternal body grow. He wants to elevate his endless eternal body to the perfect state, so he needs a lot of related resources. The eternal robbery body or the eternal god body or the eternal body of many supreme people here has reached the perfect state, so even if they obtain a treasure like the Yuanqing eternal stone, it is not very necessary, so they are willing to exchange for other resources. Soon, Yi Tian traded a lot of resources similar to Yuanqing eternal stone. Not long after, the transaction was completed, and the Supremes left here and went back to retreat. And Yi Tian couldn't wait to return to the Void Origin Hall and disappeared in the Origin God Pavilion.